Oh my goodness. Wow.
He might call.
Wow.
Or he folded.
Welcome everyone. It is that time. It is the GG Millions time. It is myself, Jeff Gross, alongside Matthias Eibinger, the man, the myth, the legend, co-founder, creator of Poker Code, who Fedor Holz is just a recent guest and partner of. And we're going to get to look at his profile as I welcome you to the show, my friend. Matthias, how are you?
Hi everyone. Hi Jeff. I'm great. Thanks for the invite. I'm really curious, especially for today. We will see the stack situation in a second, but I can already say it's gonna be a pretty exciting final table with such a big chip leader on the table.
It is. It's crazy. Double second. That's something rare. You played so many final tables. You know, you play the 250K just recently at the World Series. I know I believe you got fourth. Huge score there. You're used to these high pressure situations. You understand ICM. You understand what you need to do with what stacks. So we're going to really lean on you today. We're going to have some fun. I want to welcome everyone in the audience as well, watching all over the world. Appreciate you coming in. We will have the giveaways as always. 3 of those $50 tickets each from GGPoker and $150 on Twitter from myself. I'll put that up in a little bit. But first, Matthias, your profile, crazy. 3.4 million largest cash, 22 million in earnings. Again, from that very respected country, Austria. We give them some of the most credit in the world. They are just always present at this final table, literally 99% of the time. Just one of the strongest countries in poker, that region, Germany, Austria. And we will, again, dive into more about you and your poker historic career. But let's go ahead and look at last week, the winning hand. This was a special one. We had Mr. Sam Greenwood on, and this was a huge final table. I mean, this is crazy score. This player right here, 3.9 million of his earnings coming from the GG Millions, 3.4 to 3.9 in this exact format. So he has really shown up in big tournaments, 2 of those wins out of 3 final tables. Let's take a look at that winning hand from last week. And he did get it done. I think he was one of the shorter stacks too, 21 big blinds against Adamo. You can see there, A7 suited, Queen 9, pretty standard off those stack depths. Not too much to talk about there as the Queen 9 to A7. Adamo, tough player to finish off. And if I wasn't mistaken, yeah, there it is. The Jack makes it a straight on the river. That was enough to win. Again, 2 players. How much do you know about Kravchenko? Are you familiar with his game? Adamo, obviously, you played a lot with.
Yeah, I've played a lot with Adamo. He's always very fun, but also very difficult to play against. But I do not know much about Kravchenko, but the stats you just shown are impressive. I mean, he doesn't seem to play that much, but when he's playing the GG Millions, and he's performing excellent in it, right? So he's that's really a tournament that is kind of made for him.
Yeah. Hey, listen, everyone's got style. I like that style. Show up to the big boys, get it done, get the money, and relax. So he seems to have that worked out. He's done very well, and he did come in short and finished off against one of the world's best and most feared players. So that was our winning hand from last week. And then this week, we're going to look at the overall GG Million all-time ranking. As always, we take an updated look, and this does change. Artur with 11 titles. Pretty absurd. Adamo, who we just saw, almost got his 9th. He has 8. And another player who is not on the list, but very close, Adrian Mateos, we'll look at today. And I think Artur does join us again, if I'm not mistaken. I get kind of numb to it. He's here almost too frequently. It's wild. But tell me about him. We're going to spend some time on the individuals here, but let's just real quick, since he's on the list and he's number 1, he's here today. Tell me about Artur. What makes him so special in your mind?
Yeah, Artur is a really special player. First of all, the word fear, it doesn't exist to him, you know, like he never has a thought like, oh, bubble, like what is this? He is always like, he's doing his thing, you know. And if I say, you know, like we're talking about GTO and everything a lot, but there's still so much room of like having the style you want to play yourself. We have like GTO is always mixing constantly. Should you bet? Should you check? It doesn't matter, you know. And Artur really does his thing. I would say he is very active. He really fights in every situation possible. He's just going for it. Many big pots, not afraid to bust. I had many key hands against him. I think in the all-in department, generally I was not running great against him, but yeah, I just I like to see it, and I think he's a very nice person also. So definitely someone to root for.
Yeah, it's again just sort of putting up historic numbers, and he does sort of the overwhelming consensus. Players that I talk to, they say he just always shows up. He's there, he's playing, you can see his stats. We'll look at a little closer here, but he's played so often this tournament. He plays the biggest tournaments in the world. He travels around the world, and look at the list here. He is also there on this season. 2025 will be broken into 2 seasons. I've referenced this a few times, with season 1 ending around the World Series and then starting up again, sort of taking us to the end of the year in the Bahamas for the WSOP. So here's a look at the Kravchenko shooting up the list from 225 to number 2. He has a final table and a title, 1.7 million. B Binder winning another special event, and there's some of the other players who have had big scores at those special GGMillion events. So, all right, there's a look at that list, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the payouts today. I think it's over 400, a lot of buy-ins, 40 plus buy-ins from the 10K buy-in, and everyone guaranteed 50K. So again, the payouts a little bit flatter, but a lot to play for. No deal making available. We'll look at that a little bit closer later on. And let's go and take a look at these final table contestants. Here's number 9. Tough name to pronounce there. You might have a better chance hailing from Europe, but Dennis, last name.
We might just say Dennis.
Yeah, I like that. Dennis, it's nice. He's got himself 26 big blinds. He's the shortest stack. We don't have much info on him. Both of us discussed before. Don't know much about him. Hasn't been here many times. This is his first final table. He is short, but he actually has 26 blinds, which is not that short. So let's see how he is able to compete here. He has played on GG, 500K plus in earnings. Let's go to number 8, someone we both can talk a little bit about. We've played with live. He frequents the Tritons, great player, really tough. Tell me about Kia Lee, and we've seen him more frequently now in the GGMillions, and just recently at a final table. He doesn't play that often, but he is a tough cookie. Tell me about him.
I think Kiat is a great character. I mean, I play him many times a year because he's part of the Triton crew. He shows up every single Triton stop, and he has also his style. We always have fun on the table, I would say. We both don't like to fold against each other too much, so I think he's not gonna play it afraid, because I know the stakes he's playing in live. You know, of course, we have 400,000 for the winner. It's a lot of money, but keep in mind, sometimes the Triton buy-in is 200,000. So I think for his standards, we definitely will not see him getting pressured around too much. If he has a situation, I expect him to go for it. And so he's one of my secret favorites. Of course, in terms of stack, he has a short stack. He cannot really be the favorite. You know what I mean? But like, if you want to have an outside pick, I think Kiat is a good one to go for.
Yeah, great breakdown. Over 14 million in earnings, hailing from Malaysia. There's some of the best to do it. Paul Foy, of course, and Richard Young, the creators, founders of the Triton, there, number 1 and 3 with 31 million, 17 million respectively. Kia Lee just behind, and Michael Soiza, also been a guest, great player, and a big competitor who was in that list. So a good crew, right? Hailing from there, Malaysia, that do bounce around and go to the majority of the Triton stops. So we'll see how he can do in 8th place. Does have some chips, so see if he can get it going there. Number 7 is a man that we will not know much about, Perox, who has got only 16K in GG earnings, maybe satellited in, maybe just a newer account, but has not played much. So we really have nothing to say other than he is a dark horse, going to try to get his first title against the very worthy opponents today. So that is what is going on with him. 30 big blinds, and I know you don't know, have not played with him, correct? I don't think any of us have, based on these results. We wouldn't know.
That's true, and that's why I'm especially excited on how he's gonna approach things, because we can see it here, first appearance. It could mean lean back, be very tight, try to get some pay jumps. You know, it's really a lot of money to play for 99.9% of us, for our standards. So that's gonna be a possibility that he's gonna approach it very tight. But who knows? Maybe it's a secret PLS player.
Yeah, it's a wild card. This can go either way, so we'll see how that is. First appearance, we'll wish him luck and see how that goes. Number 7 with 9876, the man right here, Johnny V Santos is the name, and have a little bit of info. I've heard some rumors who this might be, has had some big success, if it is who I think it is, and we won't blow up his spot, but we're pretty sure it's a very talented player who has had some success recently in Tritons and even in the Bahamas. And this is a guy that, again, has had a 13th place finish, does have 2.6 million in earnings on GG. So not a stranger to online poker, but only 60K in GGMillion earnings. So again, someone we just won't necessarily know as much about, and we'll see how he fares today. Johnny V Santos, and I don't think there's too much else to say, but it's sometimes an advantage when you know who you're playing against and they're a little unfamiliar. I want to just touch on that with you. When you play in some of these Tritons, high stake, big buy-in tournaments, and you don't know a player, do you find it more difficult sometimes to play against?
No, it's the opposite, Jeff. I find it a lot easier to play against unknown players, because like the pressure of playing a Triton event, it's very special, I would say. It comes to them, you know, you can really see it. They want a good performance. They are a little bit afraid in some situations. They just feel the pressure. They don't have the experience in those fields yet. And I think it's just it's a good advantage for myself, or like for a lot of the experienced player, let's say it like that. So I'm always up for it. Facing one new face, perfect.
Very interesting. Okay, good to know. And that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. I could see it being both ways, but that makes more sense. So we'll go to our next player here who could use a whole pregame show for himself. We're not going to spend too much time on him because we do this a lot, but Artur Borturiza, we touched on the beginning, over about 4 years of playing this specific tournament, 210 appearances, 86 cashes, 46 final tables, 11 wins. Of course, it's re-entry. He has re-entered some, but have to say he has pulled a lot of money out of the GG Millions there, 43 million in earnings on here, 10 of those just about on this specific tournament. I guess he'll cross over that 10 million GG Million mark today, guaranteed 50,000 at least. And Artur, how do you expect him to play with this 40 blind stack, kind of middle of the pack today?
Well, that's exactly the exciting thing. I know for our viewers, they currently don't see the stack distribution, but the thing is the chip leader has double the stack of everyone else. So if your interpretation of ICM is very, very strict, give that much respect to the big chip leader, then technically everyone is very tight, you know. But is it the right style to play? Nobody can really tell you, because you can always make the argument, take some risk, get the chip leader yourself, and then you are in the fantastic situation. So everybody has a different interpretation. I think Artur has an interpretation of the ICM model where he's not the one being super tight or a bit feared or give the chip leader so much respect. I think we're gonna really see some play out of him, and I think he wants to go for his 12th title, no doubt about that. So if there's a spot, he will fight the chip leader. That's what I expect from Artur.
Yeah, I think he's also someone this is something, to me, one of the most valuable skill sets in poker, is to know how you are perceived at the table by others. So I think that he seems to have that ability when to really, he manipulates the stack size, the bet sizings. He knows what the other players feel about him, and in the moment he can turn on a big bluff, or maybe check back and show some sort of patience. So I think that's one of his superpowers, is he just kind of knows how the particular player he's playing against perceives him, and he uses that to his advantage. We'll see how that takes place today, but we will again spend more time on him, and we got to leave room for this man, Adrian Mateos, the pros pro. He is a guy that just demands respect. He did take down the 250K before. I know you've had some great success in that tournament at the World Series, and he has also won multiple bracelets. He's all-time money list number 8. Crazy resume. 19 million earnings in GG, 4.2 of those in the GG Millions. 4 wins, going for 5, 20 final tables. Tell me about Adrian Mateos, something I might not know.
So the thing that you might not know is that the first part you will know. If you ask top pros, who do you think is the best player? A lot of them will name Adrian Mateos in the top 3. So no doubt about, he's well respected, he's very strong. But the thing that you might not know is, personally, I think his biggest strength is to put you in extremely uncomfortable situations. So I would say, like good solver, fundamental, GTO knowledge, all this stuff. Obviously, every good pro must have it these days, like at least solid, But like Adrian really figures out, what is the situations where I want to deviate, where I just put the maximum pressure on you? And then you find yourself in a spot where you don't know. Is Adrian going double bottle in just because he knows I never call and he has the bluff, but I still never call? Or is it the opposite? Is it like, is he so greedy for value and you really, and that's his strength. You get put in so uncomfortable spots, which is kind of hard. And I think that's Adrian's biggest strength, just putting you into spots where you really don't want to be in.
That's well said. And I can tell you some other ridiculous stat line. He has $52 million in live tournament poker earnings. Spain, one of the most feared and toughest countries for poker. He has a $30 million lead over second place in that country for live earnings. Just an absolutely insane stat line. So there he is, healthy stack today, right in the middle of the pack. We'll see how he fares today. Another man who is a very much a regular here. We just call him AD. Tough name to pronounce. He has got 43 big blinds. Tell me about him. Have you played much with AD?
Not so much, because I wasn't playing that much online the last 2 years. And honestly, You probably know more about AD than I do. Surely I've seen him in the lobbies. I'm curious who makes the deep runs. Is there a player I have maybe a small share where I invested still in a mix or something? But I don't know much about him. We can clearly see 144 appearances, 36 cashes and 18 final tables. So he must be a very good player. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, I think he did also. He has won a World Series bracelet, as we see in the notes there, but he also recently got that win. 18 final tables, only one win. Now, that stat, as you know, at final tables, a lot of variance, hard to know. Also, some second, thirds, and all other close calls. But let's see if he can get a second win. He is now in pole position, one of the top three, I should say, in the podium, right? He's in third. He has, I think, 43 big blinds. This is a unique final table where the chip lead has so many chips, but a hand we'll get to see. Let's take a look from the Sunday with early stages, 2,505K big blind there. He is in the big blind, Queen 7 suited. Get to take a look into his game a little bit. And one of the nice things is to see an early stage hand. It's not aces, not kings, not jacks, not one of those big hands. It's sort of a middling hand in multi-way. These are always interesting because this is not a clear spot.
That's
what
perfect,
to do here.
Jeff. I like it. Like, if you have this big call down or whatever, it doesn't necessarily represent his style. But now we see something from I call it the normal stage of the tournament where you really play your everyday game. So I want to get an impression about here.
Yeah, he does come with Queen 7 suited. And are you aligned calling there pre-flop? I know multi-way, it's suited. You're closing the action, but it's tricky, the big blind. How wide to defend multi-way?
It is tricky, but you're still perfectly fine. The cutoff low jack, it's not that scary, if it was under the gun one, and then you might not even be that comfortable about a queen high flush all of a sudden anymore. But still, you want to do the completion. You have already the big blind invested, so let's go with it. And he flops top 2 pair. Here he definitely has both options. He could just call, not over. In the big blind, you don't have that many strong hands. You want to approach it passive, not scare away the initial raiser. You can, because it's a great spot to make a trap. If you have Queen 7, you just call, and he has kings, he would just raise it up anyway. So there's a lot of potential also of just calling here, but he went for the aggressive, the very straightforward and direct action. He just made the raise himself, and seems there's even more action coming up.
Yeah, it looks like Joshua is in the tank. As this hand played out, he does get re-clicked on. And Joshua, it's kind of crazy that he's thinking about it when it's flat and then a raise and a re-raise. He must have the nut flush draw or some huge hand because he is considering playing. And even then, not a nut flush draw. Yeah, this thing is a big pot early stages. Let's see what happens here. As we know, AD is okay. So Josh folds, and now AD, of course, feels good about his hand. It's a little scary, but when you get clicked, but you got nothing you're doing here. Top 2 on this board, you got to be playing. So let's see if he's gonna all or all in. It's gonna
in my opinion, it's the all in. Like how likely is it that somebody would play in the ace queen hand a bluff? Like it's such a scary action already. So we just think, well, he probably has aces, kings, or maybe the ace queen, which it is in this case. Let's just get it in. But yeah, that's something to remember. Can play his hands straightforward, and let's keep that in mind for the upcoming final table.
Yeah, definitely a noteworthy hand. He does get a big pot, and that is a nice start for him. And as we see, he's in third place at this final table. All right, number 2. Let's go to our second place stack today. A. Lazuski. This man has a Triton title, the 42.4K winner there. He also is part of the GG team, and he has got himself a impressive resume and a title already under his belt in GG. So let us see a hand from Lazuski, and maybe you have a little bit of insight on him. Have you played with him in Triton much?
We've been in many tournaments together, but I wasn't so much with him on the tables, unfortunately, because I heard that he's really capable of some, let's say it, extra aggressive moves, but I didn't really get to experience it yet. So I'm even more excited that he's on this final table. I get more opportunities, take an insight about his game and how he interprets, so what spots to make pressure on, and clearly he's doing well with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Today he has got himself a really good opportunity, although he's got about 1/2 the chip lead stack, which is going to be of interesting dynamic today. And of course, the seat arrangement we get to see, where we will look at how that is selected, and it is based on stack size, going from the shortest to the largest stack. But a hand from Sunday, let's take a look at A. Lazuski, and Here we see a little later stages, but still 816K, so not super deep. And Arts are interesting to note, pretty short stack there, as Arthur did end up bagging over 2 million chips, and he has 140 at this moment, so that's 816. And Jack 9 off on the button against Vogelsang in the big blind. So what would be your cutoff to open in this situation with these stack sizes on the button? Roughly,
somewhere along the line of Jack 9 is a must open. Jack 8 you can still open it. You and the big blind are kind of deep. I would say it's not mandatory, but something along those lines seems the cutoff point here.
Well, he does open and get called. Yeah, this is a top pair, weak top pair flop. Pretty wet board.
Indeed. So here the book would say both options are available. You don't have a diamond, you don't have the strongest kicker, so check back is definitely something you can do, especially if your style wants to implement a lot of the big sizes. You know, you can just make 70,000, 60,000 on those wet boards. You can bet big, and therefore checking back a lot is also reasonable. He goes for the big bet nevertheless with this hand, which is fine. Let's see how this continues. Could get spicy, you know, like if you face a raise here already on the flop, it's not super convenient.
So does get a call. Diamond completes now, and his straights are out there as well. So I don't know, not the greatest card in the world. 7 turns, and Vogelsang is in the tank here. Jack 9. Let's see if Vogelsang is going to take a lead or just check. So he checks. I mean, this would be, it's definitely a scary card.
It is. That's why I think we both would expect a check back here. I think everything else would be a bit more in the exploit. I mean, you can find an easy way of betting something like half pot and check back the river, but that's not really like how you're supposed to play it. So let's see. He played the check back, which is definitely the preferred move from a solver perspective and also like from my perspective. And now we expect a bet from Vogelsang, right? Because this hand was picked. Oh, that's the question now. Are we just going for the call, or we're going for max value? Are we greedy enough? Are we going for the raise? Jeff, what would be your decision?
Listen, I got two, you know my game. I'm a little more cautious, 2 kids. I'm probably just calling there. I don't think I'd raise, but I wouldn't really consider raising. You're saying because of that size and that board texture, you might actually shoot it up there? I would not consider raising there.
I think it's very player dependent, but I think it's actually a good thing if you're greedy in those spots. Sure, like, Christoph will sometimes trap also with the small size, but how often would you really have a flush if you bet so small or a straight? It's kind of easy to be very capped to something like 9-3 of clubs, or like you had the 8-7, now you value bet with the second pair. You're pretty capped in a spot like this. So, I would also like to see a raise, to be honest, even without the diamond.
And you think there, if Christoph has like 7-8, makes that bet, and then you shoot it up, that's a hand. Then you make Christoph make a tough decision. Right now, he has to decide if you're bluffing or not. So
exactly. Now it's like every hand Christoph has basically is a bluff catcher. Does it matter if he had 8-7 or if it had the 9-3 of clubs, or even if he has a 6 of spades? Does it really matter? Not so much. Either your opponent has it or he doesn't have it. There's not that much value in having a specific blocker.
Right. And you think in that particular scenario, though, with this hand, Queen Deuce, if he gets raised, do you think he's considering calling? Although it's similar, right? It's either a kind of a bluff or not. Do you think he would consider to call a re-raise there with the Queen Deuce, or probably not with that particular one?
I mean, on the first glance, it looks like a very bad hand to call. But then, as we have just talked, I don't think there's any, like, is this hand any worse than ace-6 of spade?
Right.
Honestly,
yeah, it's almost
not
the same
really.
hand.
So
exactly. And he's unblocking.
If you want to call, you can also call this hand. Surely the solver doesn't do it, but like, if you think, well, your opponent interprets your small bet as weakness and you think he's aggressive and just raising it, I mean, why not? At that point, you can as well call any hand. But probably it's not what you want to do, so yeah. I think Christoph would have made the solid fold.
Got it. All right, interesting. Very interesting hand. He does end up playing as we thought, and he does call, wins a pot, gets a little glimpse at that. Let's take a look at our chip leader. This is someone who is a guest on the show. He has been a podcast guest. He's done a lot in poker. He streams. great player, great guy, and he has got himself a ridiculous stack here today. What a spot. 406,000 at first. He has won before. He's had 58 appearances, 7 million plus GG earnings, and GGMillion about 500K. Looking to almost double that today if he can take down a win, close to it at least. Let's take a look at Beiruzi and a hand he played. And while we're looking at this hand tee up, oh, hello, aces. That's a fun one. Do you know much about Beiruzi? Have you played with him? Have you watched him at all?
I have not really played him. I, of course, know that he's a streamer. I think he's doing pretty good lately, especially. But I'm curious to see. For sure, with this stack, regardless of playing style, we must expect a lot of pressure, right? What's the alternative? You have second as many chips. You have double as many chips as the second place. That's what I wanted to say. So for sure, I expect him to open wide, to free bet wide, to just play and use his stack to his advantage.
Yeah, well, he's got himself aces at the 20K, 40K marker there. There's Dominique, someone who's had a lot of success. I think multiple seconds and 1 week actually back-to-back for second when the same winner won. That was pretty special. And here we see the flat, a guy who's always tough to play against, Dominique, but 6-7-3 big blind range, gonna hit here sometimes pretty well. Aces still though, top pair and over pair to the board. What do you like here?
I was gonna say, if you want to check back an overpair, then aces would actually the best candidate because of the protection part. You know, if you check back a hand like pocket tens, there's a lot of cards you don't want to see. You don't want to see an ace, a king, or a queen. And if it's a low card connected board, you can do some of the check backs, and aces is a perfectly fine candidate to do so. However, I also wouldn't mind a bet. As I already made a comment in the preview, GTO would never tell you, oh, do this or do this. There's so much room to play your own style. You know, I always take GTO as a guideline and then build from there. So that's a spicy river. He checked back the flop, then Dominic leads, he just calls. I think that's pretty much the only option at this point. And now we make top full house. So now at that point, we pray that our opponent had a 7.
Right, it just shoves it in pot size or goes close to it, and this is quite a board for aces if you were, oh my goodness. And yeah, hello, that is
okay, well,
you got the max, anyway. The ace did not help. Dominique just pushed it in there, and yeah, I guess he has a good candidate to do that, right? One of the worst hands he could have.
I would have been more excited seeing a king on the river, because suddenly with the aces we are like put on a tough decision ourselves. Now it's easy, we just press the call, but like that would have been also spicy.
And you think he's calling there with the king of hearts or the queen of diamonds? I mean, is he gonna call it off? I mean, it's pretty tough as played. What do you think he would have done there if he had hit, if the same, and would Dominique had shoved probably the same, right, on a queen or king?
I think I would call it off every time. Not saying I'm super excited or I think Dominic would ever have it, but I'm just asking myself, what other hand should I call? I mean, we are very, very early position, so we don't have much of the 7x here at all. We probably not even opening king 7 suited, or maybe we open it, but you know what I mean. You would never open 10-7 suited to 9-7 suited here. So what better hand would you then call? So that's why I'm like, okay, I would just snap call it, because I know it's one of the best hands that I could have playing like that, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah, very well said. All right, well, that is a look at our top 9. Pretty interactive group here, and we're going to see the betting odds today. The big favorite for such a lead and experienced player in Beiruzi, and I will let you pick first. We'll put a dinner on it, a nice dinner wager, and you get 100 units, break up 3 picks, you get first, and then we'll alternate. Who do you got first pick and how much?
I start with my outsider pick, 20 units on Kiat Lee.
Wow, look at this, just full gamble mode on the man, the myth, going on Kiat Lee. I like that. I am going to go for, man, so many interesting picks here. I'm going to go, I can't go super. All right, I'll go with Matthias. I'm going to go 30 on Matthias.
All right, then I will take the easy pick. Huge chip leader, 50 units. Let's go.
Man, I could have doubled back for that, but all right, I'm going to go with the big names. I saw Rory take down the Masters, completes the Grand Slam. I Matthias, and then I'll go Mark Teresi and the big boys, the top guys, top titles. I'm going to take them for 50 as well. Take 50 and I took 30, so I got 80 in my 100. Who's your last pick and how much then?
My
What do you have
last
remaining?
pick is gonna be AD with my remaining 30 units. I haven't seen much from him, but his stats were pretty impressive, so I have someone to root for.
All right, I'll take. I guess I got to go for. I'm gonna go with 20 on my remaining on Santos. I just feel like he's in good form. If it is who I think it is, it's nice odds. And Lazuski, I wouldn't even. If I put 20 on him, I would break even, right? It's sort of not a fun pick. So there's my picks. You got 3, I got 3. We got a dinner on it. The audience, we have 3 $50 tickets. Must be subscribed. Must hit the thumbs up. And on this quick break, we are going to take a short break before coming back, and we're going to look at the seat selection, and on that I will put up a tweet. It will be $50 as well. You guys can retweet guess who wins. I'll put that link in the chat here shortly, and we'll take our break and we'll be back, and Matthias Eibinger and myself will call the action. Can't wait to see who's going to win today. No deal making. We'll be back in 5. Welcome back, everyone. We are here. It is that time. It is Tuesday, April 15th, special day in the U.S., tax day. Everyone out there, one of those days, one of those weeks. We are in a special GGMillion today, though. We have Matthias Eibinger joining us, the man, the myth, from the co-founder of Poker Code alongside Fedor Holz, and we'll talk more about that. He's got his Poker Code hoodie on. We're going to dive right into the action. As we covered in the pregame, we kind of broke down the players. This is an interesting part, and I love to ask the world's best about this. This is unique. GG does this. Tell me about the strategy of a short stack here. Do you have any tricks? I always get a little something different from everyone. If you're one of the shortest, can you do anything in regards to the button or how you start, or is it really more the big stacks that have the strategy here?
Jeff, the first question on the stream to me is to expose my weakness. My honest answer is I have no idea. I always thought it was a fun element, the part of seed picking, but in the live tournaments that I mostly have my attention on, we don't have that element. And I feel so helpless. If I'm the short stack, if I want to avoid being the big blind next, I pick the button. I know I'm not going to keep it anyway because someone going to swap me around and then I'm maybe under the gun. So honestly, it's no idea to start here.
Yeah, it is interesting. I guess I think that's sort of how I look at it. Is that one of the early stacks, you really don't have much to do. You kind of just realize that things are going to get jockeyed around here. But as it stands, the big stack number 3, AD, trying to see where he wants to go, knowing that Beiruzi and Lazuski still to pick. So he is going to take the small blind and then let the two big stacks go from there. Mateos also got to pay attention to, right? Healthy stack. Artur, nowhere's safe. Let's be honest. Wherever you're going here, there's you're gonna have to deal with someone in some situation. And now we get to see Beiruzi, the chip leader. Where does he go? He is thinking, and honestly,
I think there are two good options. You can put yourself like Beiruzi did, being in position of your direct second stack, for example. But I also think you can be somewhere on the opposite side of the table. I also think that works perfectly well. Let him do his thing. You do your thing. Of course, you have a bigger share because you have even more chips. But I don't think you necessarily have to take the in position seat.
Yeah, well said. And I'm completely aligned. He is going to roll the dice direct left of the second biggest stack. He also, again, is kind of, I like that seed. Artur's also two to his right there, right? He's two to the left of Artur. I don't know. I think it makes a lot of sense. We're going to see AD go to work right away. King 10 suited. Kiat not afraid, going to defend Jack 2 of spades. And I am going to get a tweet out here shortly. Appreciate everyone being almost 900 on to start the show. We're going to have a big day today. We're going to have a lot of fun. No deal making. And again, we are going to play to a winner. This is from Sunday. Paused at the final table as we see both players checking on the ace 3-3-2 heart board.
And right.
Check again.
This looks like trying to check down your king high, where it's hard to get stronger hands to fold, but on the other hand, it's hard to get called from weaker hands. So that's the clear game plan here. Question is just, is Kiat Lee taking a bluff here without a heart? It would require a lot of hearts, so to speak, to make this bluff now. But no, it just goes check, check. So first hand for my pick, AD over here.
Yeah, wins the first one. Now he's got the button. So a early start for him, gets a little bit ahead of things. And now Kiat Lee with the aces in the small blind. And of course, AD with the suited 5-7 on the button would consider opening, does not, gets out of the way versus two of these just over 20, 25 blind stacks, right? He decides to fold there. Are you surprised by that? Or is that just with the 7-5 suited to get out of the way makes sense for you?
I am a little, well, let's say it's close because sure, they both have 25 big blinds, but then on the other hand, it's not that great to make pressure because we're missing a real short stack. There's nobody on the table with 5 big blinds, 10 big blinds, 8 big blinds. So I would say that means there's no very strong ICM pressure. So the potential to apply the pressure ourselves is then a bit limited, and we have to be a bit more careful. And he made the fold with 7-5 suited there.
Did get out of the way. It would have been nice for Kiat had aces. He would have heard from him as we do continue on here. Ace Jack suited, King 5 of diamonds, and Parox. We're getting a little bit of a a little bit of a view into his game. Going to come out leading here on a board that is favorable in his mind to him. Beiruzi not going to go away and does get a welcoming ace on the turn. He was already ahead, but now he's going to feel even better about this situation.
Yep, I'm gonna take a critical look at this hand on the flop already, because I can tell you in a GPV scenario, this would be a very standard lead. Good board for you, low cards, and you want to start lead. But here we have two things. First of all, if the big chip leader opens into you and you're defend, you have less of those low cards. Would you call 7-4 suited, or would you call 8-7 off suited? Would you call 6-5 off suited to have the straight? So you see what direction I'm going into. You have less of those low cards, generally speaking. And the second argument is the ICM implication. We are short stack. We are playing against a big chip leader. So do we want to fight him? We want to lead a lot. That's generally not our game plan here. So I'm a little bit skeptical about this lead in a big blind here, even if it's just some details. But that's the thing I definitely noticed here.
This is a weird spot for Beiruzi, obviously running the aces out. It's strong. The flush does complete. I think he's a little confused by that lead out himself, and he is going to go for a big bet here. And interesting hand to start all around. And this is kind of a funny one with ace jack too, where you got to feel good, but there are hands that beat you. He does bet and just take it down, though.
Indeed.
Yeah, interesting hand. Interesting hand.
Yeah.
Interesting hand to start. I think we'll get to see a little insight into Parox there, right? How he plays and not afraid and mixing it up and maybe doing a bit of unconventional things, as he is one of our kind of unknowns today as ace-10 suited. We'll just take it down. 6 million chips, 9 left. I can tell you this. This is one of the records. To have 6 million chips at the start of this final table is impressive, and he is officially double second place. He is more than just about exactly second on his direct left. So good situation brewing for Beiruzi today.
For sure. I was taking a look at how much each stack is actually worth in the current ICM value when we started. And my result was that the chip leader stack Beiruzi has about $272,000 worth of equity, and the second stack was about 210,000. So looking just at pure dollar numbers, it's actually not even that extreme, given that he has doubled the stack. But yeah, clearly the biggest chunk of the prize pool still belongs to him.
Yeah, he's in phenomenal position. Again, a lot of big names, man. You just look around. You got if you're Beiruzi, you see Adrian, you see Artur, you see Kiat Lee. It's some big names. AD, one of the most experienced in staples here, 18 final tables. So again, not a cakewalk of a final table, even though he has a nice head start, and he is also himself very accomplished player, streams on Twitch and does a lot of content, and also again has been a guest here on the show for the GGMillions, also been on my podcast, and so is Adrian. So a couple of familiar faces for me that I know very well, and a lot of exciting players to root for today at home, whether you like an underdog or a favorite or a streamer. We have kind of all of it for you today. And Lazuski, also a member of Team GG. So a full board of action today. Is Artur going to get king queen and just kind of come out with a massive flop to start?
I expected him pre-flop to make the free bet. What is the reason? You have the big chip leader still behind you. So I think the general game plan is a little bit more to either just fold right away or get out of the way, or just make the free bet, then you kind of force the issue between you and Parax. The call is surely okay with this hand, but I didn't expect it. Let's call it like that. But if we call and we flop the top set or the trips, of course, that's a good situation. Was the flop check? I actually missed that.
No, it was 82,000 bet from Artur.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Fair enough. He fires, makes a continuation on the turn, and there's really nothing that Parax can do at that point with pocket eights.
Yeah, so Parax getting involved, getting in the mix a little bit, not chipping up so far. He's at a couple let's call it not ideal spots where he did get a little creative on the lead, and then there he gets in a flip situation, had to release after getting out flopped in a coin flip, and now we see Archer chipping up, and Beiruzi going to flat the Jack 10 on the button here. Interesting.
Already the King 10, I'm also now curious, because this is a spot, again, you don't really want to get involved if you're very strict in your ICM agitation. There's a mid-stack opening. The big chip leader is calling. We can talk about some strong ranges. The R2 is not going to open to lose. So do you even want to get involved with the king 10 offsuited? Arthur said, yes, I definitely want to get involved. For the big blinds, there's enough room to play for. But at that point, at the end, seems to be over. I cannot imagine either Belarus or Adrian continuing at that point. Too good of a board for the player who made the race first in.
Is the Jack 10 there? Is that wild? Like, is that actually like that seems like a super unconventional flat there. I guess he has a huge stack. It is Jack 10. He's got 2 Broadway cards on the button. But are you surprised that he flats there?
I am like, the thing is, the way it works here is you have so many chips, for sure you want to get involved, and that's also the right thing for you to do. You can flat hands that you would normally not expect to be to flat with. But the thing is, the other players should open very, very tight if you have such a massive stack behind. And that's a little bit something that works against each other, like the one argument says you want to get involved more, you want to call more, but on the other hand, well, your opponents are so much tighter. So it kind of evens out. And I think in perfect theory, the Jack 10 maybe is the fold. But the thing is, we know Arthur. Does he have that much respect of perfect ICM theory? I don't think so. Arthur wants to go for his next title. So as I would say, Jack 10 is a fine counterplay against that approach.
Yeah, it's all, again, very interesting. These high buy-in, lower field counts. People play a lot with each other. A lot of understanding of each other's games, and also, again, not really afraid. As you mentioned, most of these guys are here playing for titles. They're not going to punt, but they're also going to deviate from what, let's say, perfect ICM play is in the moment. So it makes for fun streams, fun shows, and again, people giving us a mixed bag. We're
Jeff,
not always.
I fully agree with what you say. I just want to check in there and make one more additional point. When I refer to perfect ICM, I don't truly mean perfect ICM, because today's the solvers are kept. Nobody can tell you, oh, this is in perfect ICM, taking into account everything that's the play. That's not how it is. None of the solvers can represent the future game. Like, if you take a risk now, you become the chip leader, it's worth something. The solvers don't take that into account. So when I say the strict perfect ICM play is just with the limitation of the current solvers, but everybody knows that's not perfect. And that's the fun element. That's why there's so much room for every player to play his own style. As long as somewhere along the lines, it might actually be very, very good.
Yeah, no, it makes, I couldn't agree more. Perfect sense. Perrock's going to be sitting out there, missed a hand, I guess, just timed out or dealt out there, as we see King 10 Lazuski going for it. The Houston King 10. It's a famous hand there in Houston, Texas. Shout out to Houston. Let us know in the world where you are watching from. Matthias over in Austria. I'm in Miami at the moment in the U.S. And we, again, taxed April 15th out there. Anyone in the U.S. know it's an intense day as we see a 3-bet Beiruzi with the King Jack off, putting pressure immediately on the second stack. And King 10 suited, kind of a fun hand to play, but also dominated as we see. And out of position.
That's exactly what I want to see. First stack, chip leader against second stack. How's the rhythm gonna be? Yeah, in this box fight, kind of, because Berusi for sure tries to be as sticky or attack the openings from Lasuski as much as possible, and the first one already worked. I mean, he had the better hand, but it was clearly the 3-bet bluff with the King Jack off suited.
Yes, that is exactly the start that Beiruzi wants. The first one getting through sets the tempo, sets the separation. It's a big swing. If he 3-bets, gets 4-bet, runs into it, or it gets played back at, things tighten up a little bit, and it sort of gives him even now a bigger lead and bigger advantage as Jacks from Perrock's pretty good spot. Although it is under the gun open and a flat, he is going to go ahead and rip it in and get a good result there from Arthur folding, and AD also not making a mule of it, going to get out of the way with the 9. So that is a pickup. He gets some chips going. He was kind of going the wrong direction. He does now get back up to 1.3 through the blind, still 25K, 50K, 8 more hands. That upper left of your screen, you can see that, and in the lower left, you will see the payouts at the moment as a couple of real hands here. King, queen suited, and 10s, and King does pair.
It was also a pretty quick fold from AD with the pocket nines just on the hand before against the 21 big blind sharp. I think he's also maybe thinking Perak's new phase, might be on the tighter end, not going to risk it unnecessarily. So we can clearly see that's what AD expects, and he just made the fold within like 2 seconds.
Yeah, look at a Lazuski's stats again, not from all time on GG, but from this tournament from Sunday. You can see his VPIP, pre-flop raise, and the 3-bet percentage. Interesting, 6%. So not anything stand out to you in those metrics?
Yeah, I expected a lot more aggression from what I hear from Lazuski's capable of. As you said, not the overall stats, might just be last tournament, but we're gonna keep our eyes on it and observe.
Beiruzi showing us 14%, VPIP higher, and bigger numbers there in general. 10's probably going to be okay here on the river to showdown. Also realizing probably don't have a winner as played. I guess you do beat a few hands, but what hands are opening there? Pairs that are under the gun that not gonna think you're gonna do super well. I think in that spot, but
I
I
think
don't
you
know.
could consider a bluff there. I can
with the club,
because
right?
think about the positions. It was really under the gun versus under the gun one, and when you're in so strong positions, you're asking yourself, what weaker hand than pocket tens would you even have at that point? And you also had the club blocker, so it's not the first thing that usually comes to your mind if you have a hand like pocket tens. But if you realize you're so low in your range and you want to have some bluffs, why not take the pocket tens where you also block the club? So I think would have been a nice spot to find. But yeah, and it would have worked. I'm pretty sure that King Queen of Hearts is not the hand that would hero call there.
This is a big moment here. Lazuski with 10s. If he flats versus if he decides to 3-bet squeeze, he will run into it. Wow, he's gonna go in.
Ooh,
Adrian Mateos again, still only 820, no
Adrian.
guarantee, but the life of Adrian right here, quite a spot. He is going to get called, and the bad news for Lazuski, he needs to find a 10. He's got 2 outs, 5 to come. Aces fade the flop. You can see the percentages there now, 4.5%, 2 outs, 1 card to come, or we got ourselves a new ball game. That is going to hold Mr. Mateos off and running. The Spaniard there gets a check mark on the hand. Lazuski started second, now is in a dogfight. Beiruzi was 6 and Mateos just under 4 million. So things have now shifted in a major way for this final table dynamic. Nice spot for Mateos there.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see yourself in. Starting as the solid second stack into the tournament, a few hands later, you're a short stack. But, well, you're still in a mix. Nothing is lost yet. Still over 20 big blinds. I'd say keep the spirit up. I've won tournaments from this stack multiple times. So no, nothing is lost yet.
Absolutely right. Plenty to play with. That's definitely not the dream start, though. You said you were referencing the actual value of the stack around 210,000 to start. Now things have shifted. A Lazuski sort of in the bottom, right? Literally tied kind of for last or second to last, Parax and him. And then there's the Dennis with 1 million. But anyway, new situation here has arisen. Adrian, I guess that's like, if you're in Lazuski's perspective, do you see that being better to just complete there, or is that a fine shove, or could you even 3-bet and then fold? I guess Mateos is opening there a little bit wider than normal with the positions of the big stacks and what's happening, but tell me about that shove with 10s.
I must say, like, a tens is a hand where you could argue that it's okay, but like in ICM conditions, you're not such a big supporter of those big all-ins. Like in GPV, it's something that you do see 35 big blinds. Yes, it's a lot, but you can see the 35 big blinds squeeze shoves, no problem. Now in ICM, do you really want to do that? I do not think it's the main line. The question is just what's the better one? Is it going to be the 3-bet squeeze, and then what you're going to do against Adrian's potential in, or is it just a flat? I expect that the options are kind of close. The thing is, like, I would have preferred the flat, but that's a very friendly option. If you know the button is only 23 big blinds and he calls, then you know you with pocket tens, you always have the best hand. You don't expect the button to trap there with pocket kings with his 23 big blinds. So that's something, a really strong argument for making the squeeze. All in all, was very detailed answer now for me maybe, but it's just a close spot with the pocket tens. He decided for full aggression, didn't work out.
Well, I can tell you this, Mateos getting speculative here with the 7s. He's going to go ahead and lead out, and Dennis going to hit the top pair king kicker with the second nut flush draw, and Mateos going to just get out of the way there. Are you surprised with this lead out? And also, is this king good enough to just call, or is this standard for you?
It's definitely not standard. Why I'm not that surprised is because Adrian, take a look at the stack situation. You know, Adrian clearly wants to use his stack now. The reason why I'm still a little bit surprised is because the opener's position was very early. And if somebody opens tight very early and the board is queen check, just generally any Broadway board, it's typically too good for the player who made the raise first in order that I'm a little bit skeptical now in theory about this lead. But definitely Adrian wants to use his stack. That's something we can see there.
Okay, well, there you have it. That is Parax down to $1 million. Dennis 1.3, and a whole new tournament situation has unfolded. Kiat again with the big hand in the small blind. This time AD going to go ahead and open king 8, folded 7-5 suited, leaning on a bit more big card heavy here. He is going to run into it from Kiat Lee, and off this stack size, is it good enough to 3-bet induce or just shove? I think he's got what, 25 under, and it's offsuit ace king. He does go ahead and just shove and takes it down. You like that? Or if you had a little more, maybe induce?
A little bit more induce, I think, because in the ICM final table, you have a little bit less afraid that you only get flatted. You know, that's something you want to avoid, making the out of position free bet and the in position player flat, something like 8-7 suited. In ICM, the hand more often ends pre-flop. And if you make a small free bet with ace king, you give AD the opportunity to just go all in with ace-5 suited, with ace-4 suited, stuff like this. So I think a tiny bit of a missed opportunity, but again, it's rather close. But also what I observed in the previous hand is Beruzzi had queen 9 offsuited in the low jack, and he just open folded it. It's not a big deal, but it can still help us about the, understanding the mindset. Beruzzi might not have the mindset to just try to win every single hand, you know, so he approaches his chiplet with also a little bit of patience included.
Yeah, all things interesting to note. As you said, if you're going to be taking a overall sort of player attribute scale and noting those things where it's not actually a hand taking place, that is a big deal. And here we see Santos getting involved. Ace jack off, early position open from Beruzzi, the king 3 suited, and a good understanding of how wide he's going to open. And he does take a marginal hand 9-handed and attack and picks it up there. So nice execution from Santos, as we have seen a lot of action to start. A lot of people mixing it up, playing, and here we see another big collision, jacks and kings.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we can see anything else than going in. I mean, it's very hard for Adrian to somehow not double up Dennis in this spot. But Adrian, you made many great moves. Surprise me different. But I honestly, I don't see any alternative. He just makes the all-in, the expected play, finding the snap call. And
yep. 20 blinds. Club is covered, so he's going to need to hit that jack, one of 2 remaining there on the river, or else we will see a balancing out. That's not going to be a jack. That is a double up for our shortest stack. Dennis started out no longer the shortest. If you got odds on him in the in-game client on GG, it's a new price. You have officially got a decent bet going, because he is up to 2.7 million, which is actually good for second at the moment, as it turns out. So a nice pickup there for Dennis. He's going to go to work with force. Parax, who showed us a little bit of moxie, king queen off, could 3-bet. Definitely a candidate. Later position open. I think it's a pretty good one. The guy just found some chips, maybe feeling a little light on his opens. Let's see if he can shoot it up. He does. So we're playing today. We are playing some poker today. People are taking the close spots. They are not just folding, not sitting back, and we are seeing action today. I hope you're enjoying. Again, we have 3 giveaways coming later in the show, and I actually have the tweet out, Jeff Gross Poker, going to be $50. I'll go ahead and put that link there. You can guess the winner as well as retweet. I'll put that right now for you all. Good luck to everyone. Hope you're enjoying yourself out there, and good to see you guys. Appreciate the kind words. G-Nack in the building. Someone else saying Matthias puts the many commentators to shame, including myself. I got to say, listen, Matthias is one of the best players to ever play the game of poker. He plays the 250Ks, 500Ks, millions, and I am very happy to have him here and lean on his analysis today. I feel much safer in the booth. I let him do his thing at the Triton High Stakes and WSOP 250Ks, and great to have him on today. What is your next live event? Is it Montenegro, World Series coming up? A lot of action soon.
I have 2 more relaxed weeks, and then it's just tournament. So EPT Monte Carlo, 2 days later, Triton in Montenegro, and then flying to straight to the WSOP, where this time, for the first time in years, they put all the high rollers in a short time frame. So I love that. I don't have to be there the full month. I'm gonna be there the 2 weeks, play every single high roller, hopefully come home with a trophy, and then some time to relax again.
Yeah, that's nice. That is a nice way to do it. You get kind of mentally prepared and then go into battle as you will. That is going to be a intense period and fun. And what do you do in your off time? How much are you studying, relaxing? Do you go to walks? Do you do beaches, vacations? Like what does sort of your downtime look like?
I try to have a little bit of a more balanced life nowadays, because in between like 20, 28, I was really extreme. Like there was no time for life, kind of. You get up, poker, and you go to bed at 2 a.m. and that's it, and it repeats every day. Like there was nothing else. But I always told myself, like, latest point, if you turn 30, you need to find a little bit of a balance. So nowadays I'm 32, I have a girlfriend. The fourth time in Bahamas, it was the first time I had a moment to swim in the sea. And also now I'm also trying to catch up a little bit in the real life department. But no doubt I'm preparing still quite a lot for the tournaments.
That's nice. Yeah, balance is good. And this is a flop nuts, a little check back
Oof.
from Santos, giving a rope here as 5-7 suited. Would have actually been a hand he would have got some action with, but he is going to slow play. And now, probably at some point, he's got to be betting. He has the nuts still on the turn. So let's see what he goes with here.
Yeah, that was an interesting check back. And even now, the hand has a lot of potential. Let's see what the big blind does, because it's not out of line to just make a check raise here. You have the gut shot, you have the flush draw. You know the button will use the ace a lot to make the delayed bet, regardless if the button has the hand or not. Like even a hand like pocket fours could make the delayed bet on the ace. Just get the 8 to fold, get the 9 to fold. He elects to just make the check fold. I'd say it's a bit of a conservative move, given that you have the gut shot on top of it. Folding a low flush draw for sure, complete standard. But having the gut shot on top of it, it would be an interesting hand to look at, like how the solver approaches it. Would it go for the lead, for the check raise? What are the available options? I was rooting for the check raise, but in this case, it would not have worked for sure. So he saved himself a lot of chips.
Well, to be fair, the sizing was massive. He bet 280 into three. Where it was like it wasn't like a baby bet. He put a big bet out there. And I think he might have done exactly what you said if it had been a different sizing. So very interesting hand. AD did pass, and we will continue 9-handed.
Right. Yeah, that was a good observation, which I didn't pay that much attention on, I have to admit. So yeah, as you said, he was just a bit afraid of the big size, I guess, then, which was the right thing to do. Here we can already see him. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying that if he had bet the flop though, like a standard sort of small bet or medium bet there, I think he would have met that with probably a check raise. So that was sneaky. That worked out a bit against him, at least in the moment. We didn't see the river or how it played out, but he did have the nuts on the turn and had to just fade a heart. He had a heart in his hand as well. As this is an interesting hand with the flush draw 6 high, picks up a gut shot 8-6 with absolutely nothing here. No semi bluff, even just a pure bluff, and see if he's going to continue.
Indeed. So what we put the big blind on, of course, we think the big blind either has the ace, the king, or the flush draw. Those are basically the three options we give him. The deuce is not so likely because it's ICM, and we really don't expect the big blind to defend many hands that can have a deuce here. So it's not so attractive to barrel. He went for the no equity give up, and now we expect that 6 high actually wins the hand against 8 high, right? So there will be a bet. Question is what size, but any size will make the hand the winning hand. We just hope he finds the bet.
Yeah, Dennis already chipping up, and he is going to bet a little bit larger, more than half pot. And Beiruzi actually not snap folding, maybe thinking what could be done, but no, that sometimes you gotta just give up, and that is as you said, a bet wins, and it did. 25K 50, now 30 60K blinds, and players are playing fast. You can see the chess clock there. They do a formula now. It's not everyone gets 15, so actually most players start with about 8 minutes, 7.5 8 minutes on the clock. It is a formula based on they put on the screen to start. There's various factors on how much time bank you get at the final table, but it's not 15 minutes, and actually makes a big difference today. You can see no one here over 9 minutes.
Right. I have no idea how it works, but good that
It
you
used
are
to
the
be
expert
15.
here.
They've made a new formula. Like I think based on how many hands or how much you've played or your stack size or whatever. They do. There's a calculation to give everyone a time bank that is healthy, but it used to be much longer. So it looks about 50% less actually than normal. Going to get to actually check on that, how they came up specifically with that. But yeah, that helps. How do you find that?
I like it, honestly. I like it. It's great from all aspects. I think first I have to say, I think the players we have here are all fair players, but still, I think a fast time base makes it even more secure in terms of fairness. It's a bit harder to get information from friends or like any of those potential things. Again, I don't expect it here at all, but I just see many upsides of this faster pace. And also for us as viewers, it's just more entertaining, not like waiting 2-3 minutes, just have a faster pace. I think it's a good change. What we have seen now is the big blind defended on the flop. Ace 10 suited, still the backdoor nut flush, and 2 overcards to the board. But now he goes ahead and takes the lead on this card, which certainly favors the big blind. But the question again, maybe in this ICM scenario, maybe it's not as great for us as we think. In GPV, the 5 is an excellent hand. We have all those low cards. We could now have the straight with the 7-4. We could have 2 pair, all those hands. Now with ICM, we just need to keep this in mind. We have a little bit less of the low cards, so we need to make sure to not overplay our hand given the ICM circumstances. I still think some leads are fine, but I wanted to have this mentioned. It's an important element that you always need to be aware of. How does your own range even actually look like here? And in this spot, yeah, I expect a give up, but who knows?
Parax is certainly playing a bit of a wild style, and here we go. I mean, look, he's gonna bet into top trips with the nut, top trips with the nut kicker. With that said, this is a very dynamic board. Straights, flushes, but still just decides too much hand. Also, we've seen Parax now lead a few times. Maybe that king 5 suited hand came up on the screen and ultimately decides that that's too much hand to let go of there with his particular hand. And credit to Parax going for it, but he is going to run into a real hand and gets called there.
Yeah, I think from Barrow's perspective, we can say it was a little bit unlucky also, because I think his line looked damn strong, to be honest. So if Santos had pocket queens, especially without the diamond, I think there's a very good chance that it would just have worked. But well, if it's top trips and top kicker, that cannot work. Now we are finding this hand multi-way where nobody has anything. Those hands are always cool to watch, because as a viewer, you're always like, why are you checking it down? But like from the player perspective, it's hard, you don't have anything. So mentally, you just make a bet with ace queen of clubs. It's not something you would do, right? So let's see who shows the most willingness to win this hand, unless they improve. That's what we see. It's exactly opposite of what I just said. That's cool. But, well, I mean, what should I say? Honestly, this is very aggressive. We know that. But in ICM, this is probably a little bit better than in a GPV, because again, typically you think, wow, 8-5-4, it must be amazing for the big blind. But the same thing, it's ICM, big blind has a little bit less of those low cards. So we on the button with our ace queen, we're a little bit less afraid of someone having the 2% of straights behind. So I like it. I mean, Dennis, it's something I will observe. We can see a lot of aggression from you. Now, Dennis is the second stack in this tournament, so he would definitely have the chips to play.
Yep. This is again, always interesting tournaments, like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. It's always a little different. Who separates himself today? We had an interesting dynamic of about 2-1 between first and second, and already Beiruzi still holding strong at 6 million. We have seen some chips fluctuate around and almost even out a little bit, right? Amongst other stacks. There's been kind of some sharing where it's balanced. And this could be a very fast or very long tournament. We still won't know what it looks like. What would be your interpretation when you see this distribution to start? Do you think this would be more like favoring long, or is this sort of maybe make for a quicker when you have this big of a stack? Is it just too hard to say in general in these situations when there's a huge stack versus the field?
I would typically say it favors a bit more the long, but it also is so much player depending, because you can have a final table with a lot of conservative or players who approach the ICM very tight, as I explained earlier already. In that case, you will not see that much aggression. You will just tight play. Slowly the chip leader is increasing. Can be a slow thing. Here, I must say, I have not observed too much afraid play or tight play. So the players definitely are going for it. And yeah, now with Barracks being pretty short, that definitely increases the ICM pressure a little bit. So for the moment, meanwhile, Barracks is 10 big blinds or less, I actually now expect some more tight moves that we might not have seen the last two orbits. But let's see what we can expect. Here, the cutoff will open the ace-9 for sure. And now it's on Peruzzi. You think he's going for the aggressive free bet with ace-4 offsuited? Oh. We've seen the open fold there. That's exactly actually what I meant. Seeing more of those tight ICM moves that we see nothing of the last two orbits. Question now, is it too tight with ace-9? I mean, it's definitely tight.
Yeah, you're also opening into Mateos's big blind. You know, Santos seems to know how to play. You know, Beiruzzi's going to be mixing it up with you. So I guess you just kind of one of those things where you didn't want to get pushed to have to make a move, right? You just kind of just said, hey, let me just sit one out for a second. Things aren't going super well. I got 900K. Also, Parax now the shortest. Although, again, most of these players aren't going to play for pay jumps. He still is almost double the shortest stack, right? So I think there's all those things to consider where he just decided not to get. He didn't want to have that hand to have to get made to make a choice for all his chips, and he got out of the way. As I think Beiruzzi would have clicked it on him. I have a feeling.
Yeah, me too. I think so. Nevertheless, I still think, I mean, you brought up a very good argument. He had almost a double stack of Parox. But then on the other hand, if you just make the min raise, if you're in a West 120K, then you would still have more than Parox. So I don't think there would be any fundamental problem with the min raise. And I think ace-9 still would be personally my open. But we
Look
can
at that.
definitely see
can we pause for Dennis? Just out completely queen 3 off, just shooting it up on Santos. No F's given. Just says queen 3 off. Hey, I got a big card, little unsuited, and I'm putting a huge amount of pressure on. There's a bunch of short stacks. I'm also unknown on here. I'm the 9th. I came in shortest. No one really has any info on me, and that is, if I were to say, if you're going to be an unknown and you are going to step into an arena like this, and that is the spots where I think you really can turn it on, right? You can do stuff where people just think you're gonna have it and just not have it, and that is a high variance play, but it works, and it's a huge swing for him. He's up to 3.3 million in second, and there's a delay, and yeah, hard to combat that kind of aggression.
Yeah, that was really a cool move, I must say. I agree with everything you said. Like, how should opponents expect that? It's a bit more of an unfamiliar name. He makes a big blind, free bet in a big blind. How would you expect that it's as light as queen 3 offsuited? So if you use your image that way, great play.
Yeah, well done. See if he can keep that up. 35K, 70K. We are in a new level. We don't have a knockout. Ace-8 off under the gun. Chip leader got the license to fire. And as it turns out, he actually has sort of the best hand, right? Ace-8 off here, ace-6 suited. Thinking about it, Parax knows that this is going to be wide. He wants to do it, but he just doesn't. And Lazuski with the 6-7 off in the completing action. One of the short stacks will get out of the way. So Beiruzzi, good timing there with all things considered, does go ahead and pick it up. And we got a mystery hand, Matthias. We didn't rehearse this before the show, but these are one of the specials here at the GG Millions, and these are fun. And who doesn't love Jacks? Jacks, one of those hands. Let's see. Open. We know we're aligned so far. I'm going to let you call and tell me how to go about this one. The team always picks interesting hands, and I'm sure this will be one with the players remaining. Beiruzi, we're gonna have the chip leader versus under the gun here with jacks. Let's see a call. Okay,
Okay,
5,
we
7,
had
8.
a call.
Woo. Spicy board for the big blind chip leader, even wider range.
Yes, as you just stated correctly, wider range. That means for him as a chip leader, especially, this board is very, very good to lead, put pressure on. So very good lead for sure. I think the only play at this point is just the call. We don't want to create an even bigger pot now. It's already not super comfortable right now. There are 2 short stacks on the table. So at this point, I don't see any alternative, and I really expect the call. Let's take a look what happens next. Santos still thinking. He makes the call. Wow, okay, that's a turn for action.
I mean, you have to be fist pumping. You also are aware 9-10, the best draw on the flop, the top open-ended completes, but you have top set against the chip leader. I mean, you're not going anywhere, but you are aware there are hands that beat you. Of
I'm
course,
just
you're
call
never folding.
blind. Yep. Unless you consider a raise, the play is just you call. Of course, if the river is now a 6, suddenly you need to rethink. Damn it. Terrible river. Do I need to change my game plan? But the default game plan would just be the call. Let's take a look. Now the bet size is not too big. Could we be greedy and like try to erase with our top set? Let's see how Santos thinks about the spot. Personally, I still think the call is the way to go, but it's close now facing the smaller bet size.
It is interesting if he raises though, because like 9-10, Beiruzi we know is going to have more of those, right? He's never opening 9-10 off under the gun. Is he even opening 9-10 suited? Probably not, right? With the other short stacks in the situation. So like really he never has the nuts here, and Beiruzi can. So like to get raised would be pretty interesting if you're Beiruzi, right? You'd be like, what the heck? What's going on? So this is a fascinating spot. He is going to go ahead and check the temperature here.
Yeah, Jeff, you're correct. Like the absolute strongest hand at 10-9, only Beiruzi can have it. But nevertheless, you expect this to be ahead so often. I mean, Beiruzi can have 2 pairs, 8-5 suited, 8-7 suited, 7-5 suited. Beiruzi can have pairs with equity. What about 6-5? Or like even the sets, 5, 7s, 8s. Overall, pocket checks is still a hand that you would be happy to get in, even though you know, well, the 10-9, as you stated, can only be in Beiruzi's hand.
No, so that's my point. I'm not saying, I'm saying all the things you said, I agree completely. I'm simply saying that, wow, he has got the 6-9. That is sick. And he is going to need help. He needs help fast. We're going to see our first knockout, and it is a 10, and that is GG. Beiruzi showing us. I know there's a lot of the Rooster Nation out there. They love to support, and 9 million. That is one of our biggest leads 8-handed we've ever seen. What a sick hand. He actually has it. He leads out and the jack turns. That is such an insane hand. What a moment for Beiruzi here, who is in a really wildly dominant position all of a sudden. This is absolutely.
I'm wondering,
bonkers.
Jeff, is it like 50% of the chips in play, or what is it now?
It's let's do we can do a quick countdown here. We got another all in. We're going to see a coin flip, Artur Mortarizi, and we'll do that. It feels about half. I think there is, we could do a quick 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 18. Yeah, it's about rough. I think maybe 21 in play or 20, but roughly half. Right. So we are seeing ourselves, Matthias actually would be in really good shape here, although he had to deal with Artur the rest of the stack, and it was a flip for that amount. So we'll see 8s to king jack, and we see a top set flop, needs runner, and that will be a lockup. And we just bang, double knockout. Don't blink. Don't use the restroom unless you really have to. Things are happening fast here. We are down to 7 payouts at the lower left there. What a fast change of events here. Lazuski was in second. He is now shortest with 7 left, hanging on. And Kiat Lee, a very talented, dangerous player, also on a pretty helpless stack there, sort of at the mercy of some of the cards and situations here, as Beiruzi is really, that was crazy, right? Part of that is you just don't really believe he actually is leading the nuts versus under the gun there, and he does. It was a pretty special hand there.
Indeed. I mean, especially the 2 short stacks on the table, around 600,000 chips, 700,000 chips. It's a spot where you really don't want to get it in light, and then you play for this massive 5 million bot. But I mean, I must defend him. It was just unlucky. It was a bit of a cursed run out. You make the top set on the turn, and yeah, at that point, even if you call, maybe you don't bust, but there's no way. Oh, well, the river was a 4 card straight, right? So there was some more potential, but I still want to defend his play. That was a fine play. It's just how it is. Jeff, do you know what Beruzzi folded in the button? I'm just asking because if you have like 50% of the chips in play, almost 7-handed, I feel like every single hand belongs to me. So I'm curious what he folded.
I'm gonna take a quick look, and he had the Jack Deuce offsuit.
Right. Okay, I guess that's reasonable fold. And
Yeah,
it's a
we'll
little
allow
bit
that.
harder to run over a final table with characters like here. I mean, it's harder to run over Adrian, AD, experienced, successful players. I would think if it was a little bit of a lower stakes tournament, people would play way more afraid. And maybe I just think you open the Jack deuce offsuited every time then.
I'm gonna put the link out again, give you guys a reminder. You can guess who wins. Don't need to be correct, and you can retweet that. That will be the giveaway on my Twitter, Jeff Gross Poker, for $50. That's cash, $50 cash giveaway. Can do that, and then of course we'll have 3 $50 GG tickets into the stream. Must be subscribed, must hit the thumbs up, and be ready for the keyword there. But we are in a very interesting situation where this could move extremely fast. 3 million for Artur, 3 million for Dennis, who started shortest, AD with 2, Mateos 2, a couple short stacks, and really get to see if Beruzzi can just put the pedal to the floor here and get going. But right now he's going to run into a real hand.
That's going to be tough to win with Barget Force. I can only imagine that we face a free bet. Wow, I say that, and at that point we've seen the call. I mean, we have to be a little bit more fair to the players, because normally, why would we just call ace king in the big blind? But let's face the situation here. Massive big stack. We, from the big blind's perspective, are second stack, and we have also shorter stacks on the table. So the question is always, now maybe we actually go with the passive call, and we just keep things very, very tight and solid. Meanwhile, the short stacks are on the table. I still think it's tight, but I can understand where it's coming from. And from that perspective, it's, I guess, a reasonable call. But if it was Artur, I can tell you Artur would free bet. Because if then there's a 4-bet and the chips go in, I think that's the spot that Artur wants. He sees his 12th title. So here we can already see different approaches from different players.
Yeah. Well, I will point out from Dennis to note, this is interesting. He picks up a gut shot in a hand he may want to put a lot of pressure on, actually, with the gut shot and a over to the Jack 5 deuce, get a 5 to fold, and also maybe even, a Jack here. How can you really stick in? So this is kind of funny. Dennis is getting sort of the dream scenario, and he still doesn't love it, right? He realizes, like, he just saw Beruzzi turn over the nuts. He knows he could have some 2 pairs here. There's a lot happening, although I don't think you can, as played, you got to be pretty confident you have the best hand. He is going to call, and that is going to even make him feel better. No spade, no gut shot completed, in Beruzzi, wow, he knows this player should never have ace king though either. So this is kind of a crazy hand. Is he going to unload the clip here?
I think he's gonna do it. No spade in the hand. That's additionally good for you because in the end you hope maybe my opponent just had the flush draw, king high flush draw, jack high flush draw, where those hands you can just get the fold. So I think he's gonna do it. And then we will see a snap call. Can he escape from that hand? Now it's all eyes on Beruzzi. Will you follow through?
I was saying something interesting to note about Dennis. This is not out of pure, sure, the respect for the risk premium, him being the highest of that, right? He is going to get called, certainly. I mean, you have to imagine, obviously, you feel good, but you don't love it. You like it. You're going to love it. But the thing about Dennis, though, he just showed us the queen 3 off 3-bet from the big blind. So this is not like being afraid or anything. He played his hand, though. You have to play it this way to get to the river with top 2. Now, if the river is like a 7, of hearts, it's a little more scary. You lose to a lot more combos. Now, he's not afraid. This man's even going for the extra. And Beruzzi, this is your nightmare. When you're chip leader, 9 million, about half the chips in play, to have to basically fold for less than 100,000 or 100,000 chips in like a 6.6 5 million chip pot. This is tough, man. This is as big of a moment as he had. He's back to 6 million, and this is the dream from Dennis,
Well,
who
you
actually
can
doesn't
say
even
it. You
have to
can say
sweat it.
Belarus saved 100,000 chips.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I get your point. 6.3 million, gigantic hand, and suddenly we talked about, oh, the chip leader having almost half the chips in play. He's not even a chip leader anymore. So it goes quick.
Sick. So sick. He is not. That's a big moment for Dennis. Started out in 9th. He is on his way to a big day. We'll see though. A lot of play left. We saw Lazuski start 2nd, and now is the shortest stack with 7 left. So no guarantees out there. That was intense. What, maybe he had 3s, no spade, right? And he folds. That would have been the sickest bluff in the history of poker.
Wow.
One of them, Beiruzi folds the winning 4s there, but no, that wasn't the case. Top 2, well played with a plan, got a good run out. Started out, could have been a pretty uneventful and actually annoying for Dennis, right? He started out with 4s. He was behind that flop, got running ace king with no spade, and just absolutely a beautiful situation as Beiruzi chips up, and they are about neck and neck for first with 7 left.
But I think, like, from Peruse's perspective, it was a big roller coaster ride. But in the end, he has these chips that he started in. So he can't, mentally, you should still be, like, pretty cool, you know? Like, this is what I started with. I still have my chip lead, like, of course, now a 2nd stack, but still have my big stack. I think it's all good for him, and we cannot count him out at all at this point.
For sure. He's got more than he started the day with. And right now, 9-6 suited, putting the pressure on. As you see, it's not fun to be the one behind and having to call for your life, as we see a almost 90% favorite to the river. Needs an ace or a 5. Not going to be the slow peel deuce. Look like possibly an ace. And that is good game to Lazuski, who started out in 2nd and goes out in 7th. So not how he drew it up. Artur getting a little bit more chips, looking for, again, his 12th record title, as Kiat Lee, your short stack with 5s. Not much place to go here, as he is going to get out of the way there. Could shove, but pretty close. Does decide to fold. Is that maybe a bit realizing how active these players are, and he can maybe find a better spot to get a jam on, or just not be all in? I would just think he is the shortest and has 5s. That would have been an okay spot to jam. Here's a better spot.
Yeah, I think it's, as you say, it's like an okay spot, but it's not really like it makes any EV. It's just super close. So I think it doesn't really matter. Do you go for it? Do you skip it? Doesn't matter. To your other question, can you expect to get better spots? I mean, you don't expect to get that good spots. If you're a short stack on a final table with strong players, I think you take every hand individual, try to play your best. He found the pocket 5s, wasn't sure, is it even plus EV? It is not. He just lets go. Now he opens with pocket 8s, Kiat, which is certainly the better one. And we expect that he can take it down, even though King, Queen still has the 2 overcards. Not that funny to fold, but no club in the hand makes fold the preferred move. And Kiat has a small mini comeback. I mean, surely it's still a short stack, but it's not that short. You know, he's 50% less as some of his direct opponents. That's what I always want to watch out for. Where are the players that I fight for the next pay jumps? So I think even for him, we don't have to rush things. We can just take it as it is. Seeing the call in the big blind with the Jack 10 against the chip leader. And this hand could get interesting, because Kiat Lee seems to be a little bit too deep to check raise it. I expect the check call, but also that is not so clear. So let's see how Kiat Lee will play this hand. Okay, makes the check call. Now it's spicy, because Dennis improved to the double gut shot. Not only does he have the 9 now to make a straight, he also has the 5. And Kiat still has the top pair. Kiat is also fully aware of the situation. He knows he's playing against the chip leader. Dennis could have anything. Can have king, queen offsuited with a spade. But of course, he could have 2 pair straight. I'm not saying he cannot have it, but like, we're generally not that afraid if we're playing against a chip leader, where we always expect a wide range. Wow. I mean, this is full pressure mode now. I'm gonna make my decision. I think Kiat is gonna call.
I mean, to be honest, Dennis has shown us a ton of moxie, man. He has really given us that jungle spice. He has shown the ability, willingness. He loves to bet this sort of like one, gutter and put pressure on. And here, I think Kiat is a good player that you can bluff, right? Players make big folds, great players, but also make big calls. And as your point, I think that no spade has top pair. This player is super capable. Very interesting spot.
Indeed, and it must be going through his mind. How likely is it that he just has kings now, that Dennis has kings and just wants to end the action because the board is like too scary, too wet, or a hand like king 10? Or is it a flush draw? Is it the ace 5, which picked up equity, which is now playing aggressive? I think those are exactly the things that will go through Kiat Lee's mind. And the reason why I said I expect the call is because he cannot convince himself to play against the kings, play against the queens. In the end, Dennis is the chip leader. So should we really put the chip leader on those aces, kings, queens? It's kind of hard. And I think, well, it was a very, very scary situation. But it's an amazing call he made there, I believe. He figured out that it's a little bit more likely to be a power play with a draw type hand compared to really having the value hand where you want to protect now, because we're speaking about the top pair plus. So I think an excellent call. And here we have it. Kiat Lee is back in the game, 4th in chips now.
Yeah, Kiat just found some chips. He's already getting a spot where he is then going to fold nines, the aggressive 3-bet with ace 3 suited. Again, pretty standard button there versus the current chip leader again, Beiruzi now. So ace 3 suited going to go ahead and put the pressure on, and nice timing for AD. Going to work versus king 10. And we are again over 2,000 watching right now. Appreciate everyone coming in, looking at what is remainder there. Everyone guaranteed 6 figures. Our second place starting day stack. Lazuski is knocked out in 7th. So a bit of a unfortunate run for him today. Everyone else here, happy to be here. Arthur just kind of quietly started out with 2 million. He's got 3.5, almost doubled up. And looking dangerous. Mateos, Beiruzi, Martiresian in there. We got Dennis the Unknown, who is in 2nd now and playing very well. Mateos kind of got off to a fast start and then gave up some chips. And AD, who got his first title recently with 18 final tables here, is there. He's there again. He's just kind of always in the mix. Dangerous. This is a very exciting final table. I love that our unknown is maybe the most aggressive too, Matthias. That makes it a little bit extra fun.
Yeah, and also especially he was most aggressive, but the other players don't know that necessarily yet at that point. But with this previous hand, which we have just seen, the Queen 8, now suddenly his tight image is exposed, so to speak. So now he has a hand where it's very attractive for him to just barrel off. But I'm sure Dennis has in mind as well, I just made the power play. I got called, I got exposed. I had just a draw where I made the power play. So that's a little bit something where you now fight in your mindset. Are you going to do the power play again? You know it's a reasonable candidate. Gut shot, even the hard blocker. I think it's working right now, right here. But those are some of the details in the mind games which I always find exciting. Imagine I'm the big blind, now the small blind goes all in. I'm like, well, he just made a pretty aggressive move before. Is he really gonna bluff the very next hand again? And those are the things that I never know. It's just a guessing game. Could be another exciting big hand at this point. We have a gut shot. We really expect AD to continue quite often, but it's not gonna work too well against top 2 pair. Again, multiple choices here. Beiruzi could just play it straightforward, make the raise, or you underrepresent your hand, you go for the check call down. I think you should also do this pretty much depending on your opponent's game style. If you think AD is a very aggressive player, then you just slow play it more often than not. But I think he took the main line. I actually think, even though it looks like an amazing candidate to slow play, I think the main line in the solver would be the check raise.
Well, ace 10-3 rainbow, top 2 versus the gut shot. Pretty fantastic spot. And now the diamond backdoor, not a actual flush draw, but does have a key diamond if that matters at all. Likely this hand will end here though. Beiruzi gonna go for a bet, and this is where the hand should stop, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen often, but I can also see a check a little bit, you know, like you started already with the check raise on the flop. You know, if you have the ace and the 10 yourself, it's not that easy to get 3 streets of value. So it's not out of line to then slow down at some point. And even though you started aggressive, now you suddenly switch plans and turn your hand into an induce. Can happen, didn't happen here. So as you said, as you expected it, we just had the barrel default from AD. And there we have the chip leader again. Beiruzi started as the chip leader, had a little bit of a roller coaster, but in the end, now with 6 left, he's our chip leader again. Ace 6 versus Ace 8. Battle of the bad kickers. Again, this hint might not end here. There are multiple ways I can see this being played out. Can be played as a check back, can be played as a c-bet. What is Adrian then doing? There are so many things I'm curious to see. Just a quick fold. All right, that is the answer. I think this is a decision that depends very much on the bet size. So against this half pot bet that Adrian faced here, the fold is just the play. If we were suited, it just gets a little bit better. Would be another factor to continue, but here the fold was just the play. And now we have the first clash, or not the first one, but another clash between the two big stacks on the table. Nobody hit anything.
Yeah, pretty big miss. Both players not liking this board, but ace jack in the lead. And here,
Indeed.
normally you would
Remember we
have
had a
the button
board
would
like
have more pairs, right? But Dennis is opening with his stack too very wide. So in the terms of range advantage, do you think Beiruzi though still going to go ahead and bet there?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better for Beiruzi. You said that the hijack would have also opened wide. It's true, but he has to be a little bit careful because remember, both the small blind and the big blind were the two shortest players on the final table at that point. So when you know that the small blind and the big blind are the shortest players left, then you also know that the ICM pressure you can put on them is limited. So you cannot go out of line. You cannot go too wide. So a low card like we had there, often frequently ends just in the check fold, and there's not much you can do in the hijack.
All right. Well, this is a fun one. It could have been. It's going to end up not getting so fun as AD is going to ruin the party, but would have been curious to see how Arthur proceeds. Probably just call, although against the chip leader, I'm not sure. And now a AD sort of gets to 4-bet jam or commit himself. And yeah, that'll end that.
Yeah, strongest hand folding. Pocket tens against the ace king, where one ace was already out of the deck. That's how it goes. Arthur, you said he started with 2 point something. Now he has 3 million chips. Is third in chips. I think you picked Arthur, Jeff, did you?
Yeah, I had Arthur and Adrian. I think we have
Right.
two. Who AD? Did you take AD? Do you have all three of your guys?
I took AD and yeah.
And Beiruzi. All right, so 3-2 right now out of the 7 players. Dennis, though, so far my MVP, the Queen 3 hand. I love like the Ace King play. He took a little higher variance line, got rewarded, and he has shown a lot of ability and willingness to go for it today. So that is kind of fun to see how he will finish out as he is currently in second. As we see
Definitely also my favorite player from this final table, what we've seen. We have seen, as you mentioned, this Queen 3, beautiful. Then another one where it was a low card flop and he just makes the button bet with the ace queen, clubs, different color. So he's just really going for it. And I like to see that. That's what I want, what I'm here for. Enjoying the show as well while commentating.
Yeah, appreciate you being on as we have both players with a gut shot here, blind on blind, widest ranges. Beiruzi going to be happy to continue. Martrizian got some things cooking here to bluff on the river too with the diamond maybe or some other cards. And in terms of money cards, there's not really a money card where both players would be aligned. to a huge pot, but as it turns out, queen 8 here on the run out is going to check, and actually queen 10 will have a winner. Checks back, or may even feel the need to bluff, but I don't know.
That's the thing. We have a winner, but the question is, do we have a winner by check, or do we have the winner by bluffing the best hand? Good, we have the check.
Yeah, it's blind on blind. I think that's a reasonable assumption that he could have the best hand. I don't think that was a give up. He realizes he does have showdown there in a variety of hands. As turned out, he had the dominating straight draw. Could have had some lower straight draws or even a worse flush draw. It is blind on blind, widest ranges. As we continue on, A7 picks it up. Adrian now with 1.4 million, under 20 blinds. Kiat Lee with 2.2 folds, A6 suited off his stack depth. Not crazy, but could have seen an open. What a run right into jacks.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So we have seen this before already with the pocket fives. We've seen this now with the A6. Kiat Lee actually shows some patience. And I think it's a good spot to do so, because you know you have the big stacks still behind. So you expect some opens, then the shorter stacks in the big blinds. You expect some opens, you expect 3-bet shoves. So he's just, I don't really need to get involved. There's a rather good chance that there is some collision behind me anyway. We can see that here. In the meanwhile, Adrian wakes up with the pocket kings. For sure, he will see the call now. And let's take it from there. That's one of our boring board because, well, just for us viewers, because we know it ends here. Yeah, he had the big blind, had the gut shot there with the 8-6 of diamonds, but it's like this gut shot is not worth anything. Even if you make the 10, you have this bottom straight on a board where you really know there's a lot of king in the cutoffs range. So that's not the kind of gut shot that you look to continue.
Yeah, very true. 10 jack out flopping, ace-9 suited on the king 10. These are two guys that have probably played about as much as anyone in the world. They both got the same initials too. Definitely the strongest AM players in the world. We can say that with confidence. Adrian Matthias and Artur Mortarizian here. They've played live, online, battled, done it all, and they are in another position. Adrian looking for his 5th title, Artur for his 12th, and over 50 million in live earnings for Adrian. Let me just double check. Artur.
I think Archer in terms of live earnings is in around the 20 million mark. But yeah, I'm curious to have your confirmed number in a second.
Yeah, I think that's right. He's got 21.5. You guys have very similar results. 21.5.
Yeah, that's why I know, because I thought I'm slightly ahead of Archer at this point.
And your best cash is roughly the same. 3.2 million, I think almost exact. 3.4 maybe for you. And last year you had the 250K score. That was a fun. What'd you get? 4th in that one, the 250K World Series event?
Yeah, I think I cashed it for 1.6 or so. My biggest cash that you just mentioned, that was I think my coolest final table, where then in the end I faced Adrian Matthias at the heads up, and he was big stack all along. I was kind of short, and then somehow I managed to take this down. That was my favorite final table from my perspective.
It looks like you made a deal there too, right? You guys got 3.4, 3.1, and Santosh got 3rd for 3.1.
Yeah, indeed, we did. Fun fact here is we started the heads up pretty deep. At that point, I asked for a deal, but Adrian didn't want to because, well, he probably knows I played thousands of heads up, but all of them in the short stack area. So later on, when we still were kind of even, but it got shorter, now it was Adrian coming to me asking, okay, let's maybe do a deal. I had to think a bit, like, return the favor of now saying no, but I'm like, okay. It's a pretty big score. Let's just deal. There's something left for the trophy where I was then in the right place at the right time. And I took it down.
That's very, very interesting. And tell me about Santosh, man. This guy, I've gotten to chat with him a few times, interviewed him actually at Cyprus, Triton, maybe 2-3 years ago. And at the moment, I was kind of thinking, oh, this guy's like kind of a fun player, a business guy, new to the scene, just seems like such a nice guy. But he is crushing. Like he is hitting huge scores and going deep and plays the biggest cash games. Tell me about Santosh as we see a bluff here with Jack 6 into a flush draw with a pair. So this is going to be an interesting hand. I'll maybe hold that thought about Santosh, but I'm very curious on what you think about playing with him as we see the flush complete here.
Yeah, let's I will get back to you in a second about Santosh. I have great things to say about him. We know the big blind is not going anywhere. So how much faith does Beruzzi now have in this optimistic bluff? He doesn't have any faith in it. He just says, well, I'm done. That's what was not the card that I was looking for. But now it could get spicy. So if the big blind now checks for another time, then I expect a bluff.
Yeah, it's actually be a good card to check, right? You have a decent flush, although because the ace, king, and queen and 9 are out there, but it's maybe a hand I would think that would be better to check call. But yeah, interesting. We obviously there's that commentator bias. We see the cards face up. We know that we would have been better served to check, but anyway, he is back to 2.3. And tell me about Santosh. So he won the 250K for 5.4 million. One of my very close friends, Charles Hook, was there as well. I know. I think he took that crazy run out where like 4 10s beat, or ace high beat his 10s on the 4th ace. That was a crazy run out and wild final table. It looked like a fun one. As we have a mystery hand, we got to hold multiple thoughts. Let's go to the mystery hand with 8s with Adrian Mateos here. 4080K, 1.2 million. Gonna min raise.
Okay, gonna min raise out of his 15 big blind stack. So if there's an all-in, it has to be the call, but that's not what is happening. We can see 2 players on the flop. We have seen a pretty quick check now on the flop where the big blind could definitely use his stack advantage, his chip advantage. It's a board where you can work with the leads. That's not how the hand played. So we find the check, a small c-bet with this beautiful set. But given it's a mystery hand, I expect some more. Let's see where we go into.
I will say Dennis is the king of leading the 7x, 6x here. He's done this on gut shots multiple times. This time he's going to stuff it in. Actually, a little more worrisome that he has something. This time he had a gut shot with the pair. He is in bad shape, needs help on the river. A 6 and 6 only, 1 to come, and that is going to make 2 pair, but not enough to beat that man, Adrian Mateos, who is back to 2.5 million, really going to even out stacks at this moment. No one's short here, as we've really seen a roller coaster sort of chip distribution today, as we do settle in now where it's fairly even from our top to bottom.
All right, we have another hand in front of us, but I think I can use this opportunity to talk about Santosh because anything else than a free bet on the fold would be a big surprise. So the thing that surprises me the most, and it's very role model like about Santosh, is his happiness. You know, every single day Santosh is there, he's happy, but honestly happy, and like smiling and having fun. And that's an attitude that I think I can really learn from him, because I have my ups and my downs, and even though overall it's going good, in the moment you still feel anger. You know, I lose the big all-in on the bubble, I'm frustrated, I don't want to talk with anyone for the next 2 hours. And this is just something I really look up to Santosh. He's always happy. And that's why I think he's such a great character. Every time he comes on my table, it's great because he brings the positive spirit onto the table. And then about the results, I mean, he's crushing it. I'm not sure how he's doing his thing. He's not playing conventional. He is making a lot of the small moves, small bets here, but suddenly he is going for it again. So overall, just a great character to have on the tour.
Well said. Just again, kind of what I don't know. I'm just like instantly the same thing. It's his energy, he just seems like it's infectious, right? How he is as a person, just like a lovable, fun going guy. And you've obviously played a lot with him now, and some of these big high rollers, and you can give even more feedback than me. But just that is like that's a really good description of him, and just seems to be, it's impressive when you go and look at names. Like, again, he could be studying, he could be great, but for him to actually come out on top in so many of these spots with, like, I'm looking, it's like you and Benjamin Tallien and Van Kriegenberg and Jeremy Osmus and Hook, who's a world-class high stakes, like, just comes out and finds a way to win. Like, at some point, it's like the guy's doing something very well, right? It's like consistent too. It's not just like a one-off win. He's in there and seems to really know what he's doing.
Yeah, and for sure, he's not the same Santos than where he started. He started as a businessman. Surely he's still a businessman, but his poker game is not the same anymore. Like, he really advanced, and he must be like smart. He developed something that really works very well, apparently, because his results the last year were like crushing, as you already said. Good. In the meanwhile, we had a little bit of the smaller bots, just like the open race, c-bet fold type of stuff. But it still went quickly. I would say first we had like a few orbits where there was still 9 players left. Then it just went clap, clap, clap. We're down to 6 players. That's where we still find ourselves in. Blind level is going up in about a minute, if I see this correctly. So at that point, the free bet shoves are starting, like touching the 20 big blinds mark, 50 big blinds mark. Will then see a little bit more risk having to be taken, and the risk reward already better if you risk less for already more chips into the middle.
Absolutely. Yeah, upper left, you can see when the blinds will go up. It's in the every 20 hands. Obviously, as it gets shorter, it goes faster, and that does start feeling more frequent. And we will see a defend ace 8, ace 3, both players missing. These boards are interesting. It's not really nice looking for either. Ace 8 going to come out with this ace of spades, bets, and picks it up right there. Nicely done.
Just the position advantage. We have another mystery hand.
A mystery hand. I mean, they're cranking. Sometimes there's only one a show or none. We've had, I think, 3 thus far. We're seeing AD now with the AK going to open the cutoff. Very intense time of the tournament. The ICM at the highest sort of at this stage and this, at this exact moment of the tournament. It's always exciting to see, as you said, a lot of these guys, Artur, we know he's title hunting, not going to punt, but also willing to mix it up here. Deuce, deuce, 6, ace, king. Artur's scary, man. He's scary to play against.
Indeed. And that's a board, especially in ICM, I've now repeatedly said, where you really don't expect your opponent to have the deuce. So it's hard to be very afraid in the AD's perspective. If we have ace king, we really expect to have the best hand most of the time. But it's a mystery hand. It's not going to be a mystery hand for no reason. So I'm sure ace king is put to the test now. At this point, we just have to call. Like, everything else would hugely surprise me. It's a very clear call. Oh no.
Oh no, it's right. Hey, Artur with the big bet here, he knows, like, would sevens plus check back on the board. If he knows AD's never doing that, then he can get the shove.
I think they would never check back. Jeff, would you ever check back sevens plus? When
Probably
the deuce
not
is
against
paired,
Artur.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah, he's gonna shove, and this is sick. I mean, man, what a sickness. This is what I'm talking about. This is where Artur probably just knows that we did see a check back with aces, and he does have it, so he does get it. And AD actually does extremely well to lose a bet there, and especially on that run out. Wow, really, really interesting hand. Wild hand.
Yeah, he lost the absolute minimum. I mean, personally, I would start with a c-bet very often there because, as I said, the deuces paired, I'm not much afraid of that. But AD managed to lose the bare minimum. Good job there. And Artur, as you said, he really had it. He defended the 9-6 on the loose end, and then he went for it. Artur again involved in the hand. I think we will not see the fold. Jack called the flop.
I mean, Dennis looks about as wild as you can look. And in this spot, king, queen, the nut, no pair against Dennis, who has shown us the willingness to go for it, right? Ace 8 here, he is huge as a goes for the big sizing.
Yeah, I think this big sizing doesn't leave much room for Arthur. It could have been interesting if he then is bets around 400,000. Is Arthur willing to just make the fold, or he doesn't want to get pushed around, so to speak? So, but against the pot size, there is really no room left in this hand, so it just made the fold. I think it's a little bit too big of a size, to be honest. Sure, you know you have the best hand almost always if you have the ace 8 there, but it's also the question how to extract the most value out of your hand. And on this kind of board, button versus small one with the pot bet, it's not so easy to get called again from a worse hand. Okay, Beruzzi folded the ace 9, which is reasonable. I just want to mention it because I think we have already seen now 2 free situations where there was the opportunity to do something. He was not always going for it. It's totally reasonable, but yeah, it just plays his chiplet very solid. And there is no need to rush things, is what he says. I have the chiplet anyway. I get many great spots. I don't have to take every single super close one.
Yeah, there, Queen King, kind of a frustrating one for Arthur, who is actually it's a very reasonable hand. He opens and gets met with a huge hand, so he does have to give it up here as he is going to be in a blind on blind now. Suited sixes, the 9-6 suited and Queen 6 suited, and a raise, big raise. I mean, honestly, the implied odds here with Arthur knowing this guy's a bit wild and suited. Closing the action, he is going to come in and call as we see a fairly boring flop, but also Dennis now with a queen and backdoor flush draw versus 9 high at the moment. This feels like a good hand to maybe be checking, right? A weak top pair and going to check a lot of his range. He does do that. See if Archer starts doing something. He doesn't, but that is one of the more action cards on the turn.
Action cards. Now there are 2 different options we can see. Either we see the bet. At that point, I think Arthur's only reaction is just the call, because once we check back the flop, then we are pretty capped in terms of not having the trips. So that's why I really expect a passive call here almost every time. And the alternative was of course, Dennis checking another round. How to extract the most value at this point is now what you have to think. You have the queen yourself and the 8. We exclude that it's possible for Archer to have it because you check back on the flop. So now it's not so easy to get value. When we bet now, what do we want to get called by? The king high, maybe? Like this is a spot where it's pretty tough to get called, to be honest. So, but on the other hand, there is ace high, there is king high in Archer's hand. So if we just check, it's always check, check. It feels like it's just a hard decision to get value from. Wow. Okay. I mean, I guess like in a perfect world, you want to polarize, you know, it's probably fine. But if I think a little bit about, I really want my value hands to also get paid, from that perspective, it's really hard to get value with this overbet on that river. So not sure if it was maybe a bit too greedy.
To be fair, Dennis though does look very aggressive, right? So I think that, yeah, he's just kind of thinking that in that spot's polarizing, go bigger, and maybe he is going to be perceived as a little bit wild and could get called lighter. And this is a nasty cooler at the moment as we are 6-handed here, ace, king, and aces, as Kiat is going to open the door to Adrian to put the money in. And again, king's ace, king, not a lock of a hand. It's nasty. Adrian thinking though, Kiat too, like how strong is he? Although at the end of the day, this hand's going in. Doesn't really matter. Let's see if Adrian can get a miracle-ish spot of miracles, maybe a stretch. Ace king, the king's not that crazy. Good flop, turn clean. Now the about 7% one to come needs the ace only, and the river is not the space ace, as we see Kiat battling today up to 3 million. Going to put himself in tied for third. Another mystery hand. They are out there cooking. They are in the mix
Keep
today.
them
We see the
coming.
King 10
Yes.
suited. This is a record mystery hand. We have got a lot of viewers. We got a lot of giveaways to do. 2,200 on. Again, Matthias joins us, King 10 suited in the small blind. Beiruzi knows Dennis is a pretty active player. Let's see if he's going to shoot it up or play. We know he's playing. He does call. Okay. Jack 10-3 rainbow.
I have to say, I really love those mystery hands because it's so easy to have this viewer bias. You know, when you end up on the river and you make a call, it's so easy to look stupid because everybody knows, well, the opponent has a two pair. How can you make the call with third pair? Things like that. But often you don't realize that it might be so biased. It might just be a spot where it's completely reasonable to consider the loose call. And with the mystery hand, we completely get rid of the entire bias. So I think it's a great element to do it more often than once or twice. From Berusi's perspective here, the check is not what we expect. We just think we see a bet. Okay, the small one, definitely reasonable. Let's take a look. Dennis thinking. Thinking. Now maybe that, yeah, exactly. After such a long think, I expected more than just a call. So that's gonna be very spicy. Jeff, I think the call is what we expect, right?
Yes. Gotta call this player, this spot. You're super high up here. There's draws, but hey, you roll the dice, close your eyes, call, check most rivers here, and see if you can get Dennis to fire off. 2 minutes on the clock. No one in jeopardy of the shot clock being very low right now. 2 minutes is actually the lowest with Beiruzi, and a queen does complete a few straights. You do have a king blocking king 9, ace king, and the decision now what to do. 1.8 in the middle, almost 1.9.
I tell you what I would do from Berusi's perspective. I would check call it, and the reason is that I was leading small on the turn. If I was leading small on the turn, just third pot, and Dennis raises me, then I'm like, maybe it just attacks me because I used a small size. If I was betting big on the turn, let's say I bet 2/3 spot and then I get the raise, then I'm much more afraid of the situation. But given I used a small bet on the turn, I'm, as I just explained, a lot less afraid. So my play would have just been the check call. I cannot see the option of a hero fold. But now Berusi decided for the lead here, which is a very interesting play. I did not expect this. I'm skeptical if it's confirmed in theory, but like I'm not certain enough to now say for sure. I'm just like Berusi just called pre-flop. So it's not like you can say, well, the queen is so good for me because I have all the ace king. That's not the case. And he also doesn't really have the queens because he wasn't free betting. That's why the lead is such a surprise for me at this point.
Does call and does have 8. So again, nice execution there from the Beiruzi, back to close to his peak, 8.3 million, had 9 million at one point. Things have evened out a bit. Adrian's super short here off just over 8 blinds, about 8.5 at the moment. Nice hand there from Beiruzi.
I must say, like, this was a genius play in like hindsight. How is possible you win such a big pot with the king 10 there? If you lead big on the turn, it's over. If you check on the river, it might just be over in terms of getting more chips. And he found the one line where he got the absolute maximum. He makes the small bet on the turn where he induces the raise, and then he makes this very awkward looking 10% donk lead on the river, which again is the only line where he probably could have gotten this another 1 million into the middle. So it's not the line I would have played, but in this way, it's the genius line. It worked out better than anyone could have hoped for.
Well, Beiruzi's, he likes it. He knew it was good. He's dropping the rice baby. He's dropping the gifts. He's having fun. He also, again, content creator, streamer, guy who has been on the show here as a guest on the GGMillion. As I said, Matthias, no guarantees when or where, but generally success. does come to those that are very generous with their time here on the show. And I know you're going to be playing some of the biggest tournaments in the world, and you've already established yourself. So we can't take all credit or a lot, but we will be noting you in the future when you do have some more big scores, as we will see you in the biggest events in the world here in 2025 coming up. Very exciting time. Anyone that stands out of all the formats, the Invitational, the Triton 200Ks, the 500Ks, Bahamas one, or the World Series high roller events, what is on your map that is just stand out that you're so excited about at the moment?
The most excited I'm always about those special Triton invitational only tournaments. I think that's how they are called, where you have to team up with a businessman, and it's just such a special element into the tournaments that makes them so unique. So for me, those are always the most special ones. You meet with your VIP on the previous day. I often go for dinner. I'm not sure. It's probably not announced yet, but I'm going to partner up with Sinan again. So I'm really excited. And the VIP who picked me, Sinan, he did an amazing job in the last big event. So yeah, that's definitely the special one.
I was thinking a turn here, 10 or a club. That could be a super big pop, but does check back.
I just was lost in speaking, so I didn't even see the line. Was it just c-bet flop, c-bet turn?
Turn was check.
Okay. Oh yeah, you just said that. Sorry, my bad. Okay, okay. He checked back. He didn't want to get pushed off his equity potentially. I guess at that point the hand is done. The ace was the one card which would have been a disaster for one of the two players involved.
Yep. Does show the ace. And this guy, Dennis, having fun, man. He's having a good time. Started second. He's now, I'm sorry, started ninth. He is now 2 of 6. So a good result for him no matter what. Of course, now it's a new situation. He's looking at the eye on the prize. A lot of money up for grabs, over 400,000 at first. As I will start queuing up the giveaways once we get down to 4-handed. So again, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up. That will be part of it. 2,300 watching us. Let us know in the world where you are watching from. A lot of new faces, familiar faces. I know the Beiruzi contingent. He's got himself an army and he's done a lot of content in poker, and we appreciate that. And good to see him having a good run here. See how he can finish out. He has got a title. His name's Ryan Shamas, and he has got one title. A. Lazuski went out already. He has one. AD has one. He is here. Adrian has 4. He needs help. And 11 for Archer. That is who has titles. The other players do not. And here, Beiruzi going to fold the top pair. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So this was something very interesting we have seen there. I would say, let's call it an ICM play, where you have a good hand, but you also know half the turn cards in the entire deck are cards that you really don't want to see. So there's also a short stack on the table, and AD just decided, well, if you have me beat, then that's how it is, but I'm just gonna push. I want to protect my hand. And as you said, Beiruzi just folded the top pair there. He just gives it a lot of respect, doesn't really expect any draw type hands. Where AD, to be perfectly balanced, sometimes he would need to do this with a draw as well. If you always do it with ace jack or pocket queens, it's a little bit too face up, but it's really hard to find a draw type of hand and make this kind of push. So yeah, I think it's good that he made a tight fold there. That will go in. Too short, already committed. Archer makes the call. Ace 6 of diamonds, not in a prime spot here, but the flop says different.
3-1 favorite. There are cards. There is availability on the river. Needs help. A 9, not that. That is AM on AM crime, as Martiresian is going to send Matthias to the exit, going to deny him to go up on the all-time leaderboard for the GGMillion, who is right there kind of lurking outside the top 10. And we are down to 5, and we will be seeing Adrian hopefully more often here, as we know he is, again, regarded as one of the world's best, 52 million in live earnings and a very impressive resume on GG as well, with over 19 million earnings coming just on this online platform. GG, what a day, what a lineup, and what a finish we have in store for you. Dennis now looking to see if he can etch his name in stone as one of the 9th place shortest stacks, although it's 26 blinds, right? I mean, Matthias, this is so often you see a short final table where someone's 7 or 8 blinds, 6 blinds, 4 blinds, something. This 26 blinds is by no means critically short. So a little more open today on the breakout. And even I think Lazuski, who was in second, went out 7th. Is a little less crazy, right? That's not like so unbelievable with the stack distribution. Another mystery hand, Beiruzi, man. We're catching up. We're making up for lost time. I think they're so excited to have you here, Matthias. They want to lean on your mystery hand and see what you're gonna
keep them
cook
coming.
up here.
Last deep run of mine was the mystery bounty one. It's also connected to mystery. I managed to somehow be lucky and get like 10 knockouts. So now it fits perfectly with the mystery hand. Check 10. Now the chip leader saying like, okay, again, back to mode aggressive, makes the free bet. Arthur will make the call, and we have a top pair. It's of course a flop that is good. I would call it great. If we make the bluff and if flop the top pair, it's great. Unless there's huge action. Then we have to second guess ourselves and like, damn it. Is there any way out of this hand? But let's just keep it slow. Let's see what's happening. C-bet around 30% bot. Arthur makes the quick call.
I will say this. Beiruzi, you got to give him credit because Arthur, who is the most #1 all-time on the GGMillion ranking, obviously one of the best players in the world, Beiruzi just comes in and attacks Jack 10 off. So many, your chip leader could pick it. Just you don't need to 3-bet Jack 10 off. So he is going at him here, and now is going to bet and then check turn and slip a little bit of rope. Although of course Jack 10 is a sort of moderate hand, right? He doesn't necessarily have the best hand. It's kind of a perfect mystery hand. We're sort of in the middle here, and I think you're just going to see check call, and then a river will dictate what's going to happen here, and this could be a massive pot. Let's see.
I agree. I also see a small chance for Justin all-in here because there's 3 million already in the middle, and maybe it's just like I don't want to see another river card. I hope at my head. But yeah, that's the river card where it's easy for him. If he's speed, he is speed. But how should he do anything else than going broke on the check river? Unless we've seen Beiruzi with a 10% lead. Do you remember a few hands ago? It was the genius move where he got the maximum, which I really didn't expect. So wow, we're gonna see it again.
I mean, let's be honest though. This is not the nuts, although it feels nutty, right? You have trips. It is a heads-up pot. There is a world that you are losing. It's not with the straight, but there are pairs. There is a better jack queen suited, jack king suited, ace jack. It would be nasty, but this is this is something where if you get, this is like not fun, right? It's not fun. Like you realize this is like a crazy run out and he can't fold. And there it is. Like, there's the guy. You just mess with the bull, you get the horns. And that is a nasty hand, nasty run out. And Arthur is just now in control. And who would have guessed it? The all-time winningest player in GGMillion history is your chip leader with 5 left by double. I mean, this is just nasty. It kind of felt like he was beat, but you can never fold.
Because my dinner was already secured, Jeff. Like, I had you 3-1. I have 3 picks on the final table. You had 1, but suddenly the tides turned and you picked Arthur. I mean, you knew it, right? 12 title on the line.
Crazy stuff. I'm shaking up for Beiruzi. Arthur heads up, although you can't discount Dennis, who's been maybe MVP thus far. 4 million chips, he's in the mix, and AD nothing to seize at. Yeah, Lee, this is all-stars. I mean, you got all-star players, and the one unknown is right in there, shooting it up, queen 3 off, mixing it up, bluffing, leading, doing a lot of things. So this is wide open. This is not set yet who is going to win, although Arthur, now you have to say, is your overwhelming favorite as it's shaken out with this lead, 5 left in the experience.
For sure. And with that said, I think, Dennis, we as commentators, we have it easy. We see the hands. We've seen the queen 3 offsuited aggression. So not too big a surprise anymore. We've seen the 7-4 offsuited aggression. Even from a theory perspective, perfectly fine move. In the blind versus blind battle, you want to be polarized. Either you have a strong hand if you isolate, or you have a pretty weak hand. So you wouldn't attack hands like 10-9 or 10-8, you polarize. Either you have the ace jack or you have the 7-4, as we have seen here. And Kiat Lee sniffs it out, just check pushing it, saying, I think in a blind versus blind, my hand is good enough. I'm just going for it. And he chipped up as well. Check 10 in the small blind, starting slow against the chip leader. That's what you have to do. You cannot really play a strategy where you're saying, like, okay, now I want to make pressure or something. It doesn't work. If you're playing against the overwhelmed chip leader, you mostly start passive and then you see where the hand is going. That's what he did. He decided to just check fold and show some patience here.
Well, I got to ask you though, let's go back to as played, right? No real question. You make trips. It's like you just, that hand kind of plays where it's at. And Arthur may be sending AD on a vacation right now as well. But the Jack 10 off, what do you think about that 3-bet selection from Beyrouzi in that situation? Is it okay? Is it a little aggressive? Do you make that play or is that a pass?
Preferably, I mean, there are better hands. You want to have an ace block, you want to have a king blocker, but now it's important.
Give me a pause here. Queens to ace queen. It just feels like that type of day. But is there lightning in a bottle? Needs only 2 aces now. Ace of clubs not available. River is a 9. And hey, 4 left. Cue the giveaways. You can make dinner potentially even in Europe right now, a late dinner. This is move and a mystery hand. We have got it all today. Let me get a giveaway underway. This is a lot of action, and I got to ask you about the Jack 10 3-bet. Sorry to interrupt your thought. We just kind of have a constant barrage of action here, but I'm going to put out the giveaway as you maybe tell me about that quickly. With Jack 10 off, could he have just gotten, okay, that's the nuts.
I guess we have to put this one on hold for a second.
Yeah, talk me through
this. There's a comeback of Beyrouzi, Jeff. It's going to happen. So Arthur is just excited, just has the chip lead. Now we know Arthur chip leader. It's not easy to play him. Unless, of course, you flop the nuts. Then you know, well, that's a good situation because Arthur is not afraid of like barreling it. So definitely you start with the check call, then you continue with the check call, and then you press the check call in the river. Question is just, is there a world where Arthur would even beat you? Unlikely. I expect a comeback here. Oh, Beyrouzi really not playing the book, but it might be also, we can consider it one of his strengths. You know, if you play a style where you know people don't expect it, then you also know they don't know how to react against it. And I've seen now those 10% river leads more than once. We've seen a small turn lead and another small river lead here. Arthur is thinking, what direction?
First giveaway there. I'm just going to real quickly point out GGWSOP space Matthias Pay. Oh, okay. Hold on. I got to interrupt my giveaway. Even deuces. I mean, this is nasty work right now. Beyrouzi goes out 4th. He can't believe it. Haha. He gets runner boated to ducks. Not even the queen X runner. That is a absurd hand, and we are gonna have to get work on the giveaways because this man does not slow down, and you got to put him off the charts favorite. 14 to 3 Beyrouzi. What a run, what a performance. Really unfortunate, nasty work there. That was nasty. That was actually absurd. That was really absurd.
I feel bad with him, to be honest. I mean, after this flop where you have like 99% equity or something, then you bust. Oof, that's brutal. Quick words about the Jack 10. All in all, I think it's okay pre-flop. It's not one of the preferred hands. You want to have ace blocker, king blocker, but you are the chip leader in the end. You know Arthur is not afraid to open, so he just picks the Jack 10 offsuited to make the aggressive move. Fine, it's fair. And then the run out didn't make it easier for Beyrouzi. Maybe in a world where he doesn't make the lead, the hand could end different, but not really. I mean, the river had less than a pot size left, so even if he starts with the check, he would check call it anyway. I think same outcome.
Yep, that is this is the Artur Mortarizian show right now. I got the retweet as well, the link. Jeff Gross Poker 50 cash given away here. Gonna select the winner shortly. You guys can still do that. Give it time, and we will pick the first winner. Actually, we got to catch up. We got 3 giveaways to do. Let's do the 50. Let's pick it. The $50 first winner we're going to do. We got to get 3 out here, and man, we know this could end fast here, Matthias. Definitely
It
has the
could go
potential to
fast,
be.
but you know, I had 20 units on Kiat Lee because he was my outside big. And if we look at the stack distribution, he still is the outside big, but he's still in.
All right, I got the first winner. I got to get at least 2 winners picked before we get to heads up because I don't want to have a. This could be over in a hand. We've seen double knockouts. You never know. Crazy things happen. How would you describe Kiat's game? I feel like he's super tough and has moves, but he's also very solid. Like he's like a guy when I play with live, I have a hard time. Like I want to feel like he's crazy and aggressive, but I feel like he's really solid. He just feels very good. What would be one of his attributes you think makes him so tough, though?
I think that fits in your description is perfectly fine because on one hand, he's not afraid. You cannot push Kiat around. But then on the other hand, solid. Yeah, we've seen this also throughout this final table. He had some close openers where he's like, no, I don't really think this creates any chips. So I just let it go, let the other players try to eliminate each other. So both aspects, not being pushed around and can be sticky at times, but also solid. So both attributes I would give him.
Very, very, yeah, very well said. That's how I kind of picture him and what he does, and just seems to find his ways. He open folded fives. You said it wasn't really a chip plus chip EV spot. He got nines. You know, it's a spot raised 3-bet aggressive players close, maybe could jam it or play. Just he kind of gets out of the way. He doesn't seem to take high variance spots where there's a lot of chips, and he feels very comfortable post flopping with his ability to make decisions, and almost in a way that makes sense, avoids variance. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I feel like he does find to get out of these sort of indifferent spots.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. We have also seen early position where he had like a 6 of clubs. He also open folded it. So yeah, just underlines the description you gave on him. This
All right, there's
could get.
yeah,
Yeah, go
Queen
ahead.
10.
What
No,
about the
sorry, I just
giveaway? Who is the next winner?
Danny H, first one. We're going to queue up the second keyword in a second as things slow down. And we are going to also give Poker Code another shout out. I got to ask you, because I've asked, Fedor's been on many times, also been on a podcast. Love to have you on my podcast, get to know you better. This has been a treat, as you're someone I've never really gotten to speak with much, honestly. We've a few times said hello, but I want to know, how did that come about, Poker Code? Where did that first come? Where did you approach Fedor, or he approached you, or how did you guys get connected in that way? It's been a while now.
To me, it came as a surprise because at that point I was rather new to the live scene, and suddenly Fedor approached me and like, "Oh, do you have time tomorrow for breakfast?" And then he approached me with that idea, and I was immediately in because it was super excited for me. I always coached some players here and there, so I knew already it's an element that I love and that I enjoy. And now if I get asked from Fedor Holz himself, he very good reputation and high standing, and like it's the perfect partnership. I felt like I'm the guy coming out of the lab, and he has a lot of life experience and life success already, so since then we teamed up, and I still like it. But in the meanwhile, now we face a really big one. I think it's really looking good for Arthur on his mission to the 12th title if we see this hand.
Yeah, that feels like a pretty good spot. Kings to queens, although look, one 4-1 here, and we've got ourselves a dead even heat, and it could go on forever. If it's not, it could be a battle quickly. And is it just going to end here? This feels wrong. Arthur gets queen. Dennis has been 3-betting queen 3 off. The guy's going for it every which way. He gets queens 3-handed to kings blind on blind. I mean, this is nasty, nasty cooler stuff right here. Unreal. Unreal. I'm literally just queuing up the second giveaway as we see this chip pot going, and Dennis can't believe what he's seeing. He loves it. He's not going to love it. He might love it. It's a cooler, but can he hit a queen? He's even suited dominated on both, which is rare. So that is really sick.
Oh no, the 6-bet click, or what is it? We started with 400. Oh, no. Did we start with a limp, then 400, 1 million, 1.6 million, 2.3? Eventually the chips end in the middle.
Cards on their back. It almost feels too easy. Is it really? Is he just going to be this clean? Is he just going to have all the chips and fade the river? He's going to do it. It's just like no sweat. GG. Artur. Wow. Wow. Nasty work. But Dennis, not going to feel good. He did start the day in 9th. 50K was on the table for him, allegedly. Now 241. So from his perspective, almost 190K come up in terms of what his stack was at the start. Of course, ICM, it's worth more, but in terms of taking ninth. So that was nasty as we see a heads up match where 17 million to about 4 million. So let's get that second keyword out. We're going to put it out for a giveaway. $50 GG ticket giveaway.
Better hurry up because the
I
way
know,
Archer
I
does
know.
it was so quick, it might
I
be
know.
over.
I know. I'm behind. I didn't expect it. I mean, it's 4:40, an hour 250. Yeah, it's pretty short right now. It hasn't been very long. And here we go. We're gonna give poker code shout out as we see the giveaway coming here. Yeah, it could be very fast. Of course, could be over in a hand. Never know. Heads up poker. What's the shortest match you've ever played in heads up? One hand in a live? Has it really been that fast?
I'm not sure, but probably like within 3 hands, I could imagine that happened. My memory is not so precise on that. But Jeff, wasn't it R2 playing heads up last week also, or am I wrong? No.
That was Adamo, another A, another big,
Yeah.
powerful, aggressive player, Michael Adamo, reversed initials, MA versus AM, man. Those initials are big in poker. We saw Adrian Mateos there today get kind of cooler as well, ace king to kings, and it's one of the ways to get him out, right? It's hard to get Adrian Mateos out of the tournament, but that was ace king to kings. And Kiat also now is our picks. We were heads up for the full sweat on the dinner.
We are, and I have hopes in Kiat Lee. I'm fully rooting for my pick. Now you're rooting for your pick. But yeah, I must admit, it's not looking great. Good. So let's talk some poker again. Pocket eights. I think you have both options. You can go with a check. You can go with a bet. Both perfectly fine. And that's all we will see from this hand. Oh, Kiat not want to fold here. So I can already see Kiat's approach. I let me go ahead. So we've seen a lot of solid play from Kiat, but now he's heads up. He knows he's the huge underdog in chips, and he's now into the okay, I'm gonna take risks. I wanna get a bit closer in chips because with like 7-1 underdog or what I'm here for. I think he's just gonna take every single spot now that can be considered close.
Yep, that makes a ton of sense, and also in a spot where he knows that this is not an unknown or somebody thinks he would have a huge advantage with. He knows it's a tough player anyway. So yeah, out chipped, and with that, all those things, you're looking to get something going and maybe mix it up a bit and get some chips in the middle, get back in the match as he is a big underdog here. And here there's a 10-5 or 6-7. Actually, both players no pair.
Right. I think the action is Kiat Lee did limp in and then made a step on the flop. And now Archer takes the lead. Staying to the logic of taking all the close spots, I expect a call. That's exactly what we see. Kiat Lee making the straight, and Archer always has the power factor, the power play. Do we see the power play or we see a cheap exit? Power play it is. Yeah, everything else beside a call would hugely surprise us. So a small comeback in terms of chips here. Unless Kia just goes for the value, thinking, well, Archer has the trips, the deuce, called on the flop, lead on the turn, now goes for another lead. So maybe just going to all in, that's what he does. He just goes for, I want to push the variance here. If you really have me beat, so be it. But yeah, he definitely going for all the close ones. Who wins with the same hand is our battle in this one. Ace 4 versus Ace 4.
Got a favorite position, but it's also, you just don't know. That's a spot where we see check, ace 4, no draw. So that's going to be a chop unless there is some aggression. Yeah, as played. I think both ace highs might be content to check, not loving the board.
Indeed. Fair split. The in position advantage here did not take over. Yeah, but it's reasonable with ace high in heads up. Going for the showdown is very, very often the play.
Yeah, we've arrived here in under 2 hours. With that being said, we've had some, again, very long heads up matches. It can also be over quickly, but this is plenty of play. 6120K level. And we have these players are not short by any means. What 4.8 is 40 blinds for Kiat. Very, very calculated player, very tough player who likes to play post flop. So, I think that there's no guarantee, right? This is not one double and we're very tight. So it's wide open still.
I agree, but it could also be over within a second because, as I mentioned, I really expect this to be the mentality from Kiat. Every close spot is going for it. That's the mentality. So that's why I also think, even though we are rather deep, as you just said, if there's the hand, I just expect chips to go in. So yeah, that's the mentality. Fighter, both fighters. Arthur, of course, also a fighter, doesn't want to let go. You cannot make him fold too easily unless you convince him that he really has to press the fold button. And that is interesting. What was the action here?
I didn't see the turn, the flop exact bet size. I guess it was
Doesn't matter. We see ourselves on the turn. Arthur made small lead. Kiat Lee calling with just the 2 overcards and the queen high on the double paired board. And this could just end in a check-check. Not so quick, says Kia, taking a good think if he wants to bluff the hand. There we go. Taking all the close spots. Quick fold. Perfect. We'll make it a battle. I think we've been down almost 6-1. Now we are at 3-1.
Yeah, wide open. Wide open. No guarantee. That is for sure. Again, heads up, man. One double, it's tied. So this is a violent game where heads up, things can happen fast. Could be over, could not. We're going to go ahead and give a second here. I'm going to pick the winner for this one. We'll leave it with one left. I'll leave that pending as we see a bunch of people hitting the retweet button. Guess who's going to win? Doesn't matter. You don't have to get it right. Just hit the retweet. Guess who wins? And we'll pick a $50 cash winner as well. So we still have a few giveaways left as we are fully in the mix here. This is an exciting day. We got to see a little everything and some nasty coolers down the stretch. Kings to queens, nut flush versus runner boat. We saw trip ace jack to jack 10. And I think, did we ever quite finish the thought on the jack 10 off, maybe while things are slowed down slightly here? What do you think about that 3-bet Beiruzi? Maybe double thinking that now as it didn't work out at the same time. You're just going to get a fold a lot of the time from Arthur, and also, doesn't mean you're gonna have to get coolered, and even you might lose the hand but not get knocked out. So tell me about that jack 10 off 3-bet versus the
meanwhile you did a giveaway. I briefly talked about it, so I will keep it short this time. I think it's okay play. It's a fine play. Clearly, you have better hands. Preferably, you want the ace blocker, you want the king blocker, you want to have something good. But then on the other hand, he was the chip leader. We know Arthur opens his buttons quite a lot, and he makes the free bet with the jack 10 offsuited. It seems aggressive, but it's fine, to be honest. It just is a bit unfortunate for him, also the way the run out developed. Flops the top pair, then the turn is pretty safe. River the top pair, pairs again, so you find yourself with trips. I think it was really a fine play. He was just unlucky. Do you have to take the hand? No, you don't have to, but it's fine. It's not caused by mistake that he busted there.
I'm a little surprised by the raise. You have the super nuts with the redraw. At the same time, you do have the 2 clubs. Does that maybe make him decide to raise there, that he's like could be betting a flush draw and he unblocks all pairs? I guess results oriented, we know it would have been better to call, but what are your thoughts on raising there with the nuts and the redraw and heads up?
To be honest, meanwhile I talked about a check 10, I wasn't really following it, but I just would think it goes the same theme that we already seen the past 15 hands. Every possible hand, just create the big pot. Sure, you could consider slow play, and maybe objectively it might have been a better play, but I think that's what we will also see the next half hour or whatever length this match will take. Every spot where it's possible, just increase it and get something going. I think we're still at that spirit here.
Yeah, I do think there is, with having the clubs, I kind of like that too. Like, it's like, and you unblock all pairs, it's heads up that maybe your opponent won't believe it, and he could also have something good. And yeah, didn't work out as we see here. The ace pairing. This is problematic for Artur as well. It's heads up play, not going to fold. That is going to maybe slow things down, but ace 9 does have a winner. And
yeah, that is the opportunity for Artur to maybe get away from the hand, because like if flop goes check check and then the ace is on the turn, then it's very hard to get away with the top pair. But as played, this river lead, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, well, actually, I'm pretty confident that it's not really a confirmed play here. Sure, once you check call the turn, it's a river card that is kind of fine for you. So having some leads on that river, that's not what I'm questioning. I'm just having it with the ace with a weak kicker. This is not really something I believe I've seen. But then on the other hand, if it's things I'm not super certain about, I don't want to be overly critical. It was just my first thought that I didn't expect it with this kind of hand.
Yep. All right, we're going to announce the next winner. It is at Epsilon, and his name on GG, or her name, is GG Trencher. Congrats. And we'll have one more $50 ticket, and then the Twitter as well. So it's still 2 of the 4 $50 tickets giveaway today. So good luck.
And that could be, meanwhile you announced that, it could be a very, very big hand upcoming. If I've seen this correct, Kiat made a 3-bet pre-flop, made a c-bet on the flop. And okay, I'm excited where it goes from here. Alternative is the check, of course, then Artur likely bets, and then you want to just fold the king deuce. Maybe you find yourself in the check call with a huge spot in the river. As played, he makes another barrel. Artur calls. Oof. Okay. It's very, very hard to win now for Kiat on this run out. Very hard. I cannot really see any way, to be honest. But I'm here to be surprised. I mean, what's the alternative to a check fold? Could you make a check insane hero call? Oh, wow. Wow. Jeff, I need to be here with you more often. I mean, this is fun.
This is fun. You're welcome, man. Fedor, you're welcome to come anytime. We'd love to having you. And this is big boy stuff here. Kiat Lee gets jammed on here. And gonna fold, of course, man. Artur, right time, right play, shows it as well. And not sure he got to see it right there. That is a big moment. Could have really closed the gap, but hey, that was a big ask to call there, as we are going to continue on heads up play, and we would love to have you more often. Definitely. And Poker Code got the love there. One of the top courses in poker. I know there's probably 4 or 5 I would recommend or know of. And again, different sort of similar information, but different styles and different learning methods that people have. And wow, 4s to 3s here, pair, although a little bit deeper. They're not like, this isn't necessarily just all in.
I think it's going in. Yeah, that's what I expect. Kiat, pushing it. I can see it and I like it. It's a good strategy at this point. Question is there any way out? 25 big blinds, that looks like. I don't think there's a way out, honestly. Like 25 big blinds with big blind ante. Can you check fold? Can you limp fold there?
Wow.
Very technical question. I think we're talking about like 2 big blinds less, 3 big blinds less is guaranteed no fold. But like it was exactly the area where like, okay, maybe you can do it.
Wow. Just dodging, ducking, diving, weaving. Like my man is just an unbelievable wizard of sorcerer, if you will. Like just completely has the right play, right time, just gets it done. Scary stuff, man. I'll tell you what, this guy is. He is scary. He is just dangerous.
I mean,
really
the Jack
able.
9 from Arthur was really a beautiful hand from his perspective. Also called the flop, then on turn he called, and then on the river, this small bet, he just didn't buy into it, and he's like, I'm gonna just raise you all in, and it worked out perfect. And for him, it's really looking like the 12th title. There's not much around it at this point. Back to 6-1 chip lead.
It's nutty. Nutty stuff. Nutty game. Crazy game. What a beautiful game we play poker. What a fun, awesome just illustration of the game today. Really got to see it all. The dark horse came in ninth, got what, third, huge payday. We saw a very tough player go out early. There's no guarantees out there, and you can prep, you can do your best, and you know it's always it's a puzzle, right? Every hand, every situation, things changing. Kiata's down now, very low. It is looking like an uphill battle. 18.8, let's call it 19 mil to 2 mil. So a big deficit here.
Yeah. I was just thinking, imagine this King Deuce versus Jack 9 was a mystery hand. Never ever would we have found Arthur's hand about in that one if it was the mystery hand.
No. Yeah, no, this has been a treat. What any hand stand out the most to you? We've seen some nasty coolers. What hand would you say, or moment, was there a turning point there? The Jack 10 3-bet, maybe that was a huge pot and shift, but anything else or any other hands that really stood out?
I don't think we have this one specific hand. You know, we had some big coolers, no doubt about that. We had many big clashes, but it's not about this like one super unexpected hand. I mean, queens versus kings, what you should do there. Then we have this super brutal hand, the flop not flush against the back, the full house. But in the end, I mean, that's just how it is. Poker can be very brutal sometimes. I am still very positively surprised by Dennis, who we have already lost, but he showed up with some moves that we both really didn't expect, and he made a good show here. Eventually run queens versus kings and had to say goodbye, but he was my favorite player in today's final table.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fully aligned. King 4 suited 9-4. Kiat trying to get back in, looking for his first title. He has a final table prior. Started day 29 big blinds, and the man, the myth, Arthur, coming in with the 9-4 off. Going to come in 3-bet, or I'm sorry, isolate on the limp, get called, and now is dominated. But King 4 suited, decent flop, not great, not amazing, but got enough for backdoors there. Certainly going to be involved here.
Indeed, it all depends on the turn card. There are many turn cards where Kiat could continue anything from ace, deuce, 4, 6, 7 diamonds would make it interesting for him. The jack of spades, not one of those. So here, most likely Arthur finds the line again where he wins, even with a very cheap price of quarter pot. Okay, Kiat, show me, please. Show me. You're here to fight. Calls with the king high, no spade. I mean, that would be a sick one, right? Okay, check.
Wow.
You
Kiat
never
gonna
know.
get
If Arthur goes all in there, what happens?
Yeah, it's interesting though. Kiat kind of like his spidey senses are on. He gets here, and now does he feel the need to bluff though? Ace highs, right? He's got king high called twice and check 2 on the river. It does feel like maybe Arthur has some showdown, but he is going to check and gets it done. He was right. He was ahead, and he got to the river there. Interesting.
I mean, this is something that Arthur does very good, right? With those small quarter bet, he wants to get exactly those hands to fold. He wants to get the king 4 of diamonds to fold. I think this is specifically what he targets, those one high card hands. And usually it works great for him. He has this game plan, and it converts very well. But then if you get caught by the king high, we've seen it in his emojis, so confusing. Suddenly, exactly the hands that you wanted to get the fold called you. And then you're like, oh, damn, my game plan actually there, it didn't work out at all.
Yeah, Kiat here has a 2-pair hand and does get called by a 10. Nice value bet there. Scary looking board. It's some chips. And
Also very good for the mental game here now. You made this king high call, works. You make the big value bet on the 4-card straight board, gets the call again. I have hopes. I can never give up. Hoping and rooting for my pick and for the dinner with you, Jeff. Big motivation for me over here.
Well, either way, now we have a dinner. That's the good news because it's not a non-pick. So one way or the other, there will be a dinner. I like my spot, but either way, we'll see what happens. And Kiat is in there fighting and currently is chipping up almost 4 million. Yeah, probably be in Vegas, maybe Montenegro. May shoot over for a few days. Play a couple of PLO events there as well. But it's you don't have kids, right? You say you have a girlfriend. You're 30ish. You don't know kids yet.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, so a little less traveling in tournaments than normal, but would like to play. I love PLO tournaments. That's my favorite. And Triton's got some good ones I've seen lately. So that is gonna try to get over that way. In Montenegro, you've been how many times have you been there?
I think I've been there twice. Now it's gonna be the third time. Last year, Montenegro was my worst trip, however, because I didn't catch a single event. I don't think I've ever had that in any Triton series, but last year's Montenegro, I think it was the one. It just nothing worked. Doesn't matter. I never had a trip like this.
Well, I'm gonna look.
But
I'm gonna look
it's
for the
part of
betting
what you
sites. I'm gonna look
experience.
for the odds and put pile on you after fresh off this commentary, and also just a lot of variance there left for you, I'm sure. So that is that'll be good to sweat in a beautiful place as we see top nut boat everything. He's got it all, and Arthur with the absolute worst hand. So maybe Kiat's just thinking, all right, this is a path for some. He's gonna raise it. He's gonna go ahead and raise it. This is
we've seen this.
Animal.
Just wants to create the pots wherever is possible. No slow play allowed today.
I like that. That worked out. That would have been interesting. Although also again, Archer's not really a guy that just like barrels uncontrollably like in a spot there. I don't see him just going for it. So again, maybe Kiat is up to something, onto something. Of course, when we see the cards, you can just say, oh yeah, of course, call. But he was looking for the whole thing, not just for a healthy pot, as he is back over 4 million. It is about a 4-1 chip deficit. You can see about under 21 million in play, 20.7, ace-6 suited, ace-4 here. We gotta get the third giveaway queued up. Things have slowed down. I act like it can't be over in 1 second, and I know it can. So I've done 2 of the 3. Twitter now, a bunch of you have hit the retweet, guess the winner. Again, you don't need to be right, so don't worry about that. You just got to guess. Jeff Gross Poker Twitter, that is up there. Picture of Matthias. Where can people follow you? Where if they're gonna follow your result? Do you post stories on Instagram, much content, or you're just such a laser focused crusher? Do you give any insight into your outside daily routines and you do a bit of posting, right? A little bit and some poker
I do some content during the poker trips. So actually, if I'm on a Triton trip, I give updates every single day because it's just nice. They give, especially the poker code community, but a lot of friends give some updates here and there. I get some energy from it, feeling people rooting for me also. But like in the off days now, when I study or just prepare, then I'm not so active. But yeah, if you want to see me during the tournaments, then I do mostly on Instagram.
That's yeah, that's nice. It's hard. Now listen, there's so much goes into it, so much preparation, routine. It's everyone's such a high level and those stakes. It's hard to do other stuff, right? Content, those things take a lot of time and effort. So I mean, that's you're one of those like just super laser. I know, really take your game seriously. That's interesting when you cross over into both. Even Beyruzi, right, was today. Streamer, does a lot of content. It's hard to play at the highest level and give up advantages of showing your cards or taking time away, as we see a rivered flush. Not going to want to improve here as the second nut flush is available for Arthur. and he's going to get to check that back.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's what you said is for sure true. It's and also I want to prevent things that can easily distract me too much. Like sometimes I find myself clicking on a random YouTube short. Suddenly it's 3 hours later gone by, and I'm wondering like, what did I even do? I just clicked through random YouTube shorts that I was never even interested in, you know? So I'm like, okay, I don't even want to touch too much of it because it just, I don't know, they're built in a way that it just keeps your attention on it.
It's true. It's very true. I'm with you on that. That's the thing. I do a lot of content and such, and of course you get, even if you're like, oh, it's what I'm doing or working on or whatever, you find yourself sort of like justifying like, oh, I'm learning about something or I'm taking notes or interested in whatever, and then yeah, there is a lot of wasted time, I would say, but it's part of it all. So we are again playing to a winner. No deal making. I've seen that question come up multiple times. There's no deal making. This is winner take the first, second take second, and there is a gap of about almost what 90,000, 87,000. Is that 87, 93,000? About on the dot. So big jump here. First and second. These guys, you got to believe they've played a lot, know each other, but they're battling. Archer, man, 12 titles. What does that mean, Matthias? Is that just, that seems absurd, doesn't it? I mean, it's just absurd about
That's really
titles. Like,
sick. That's a shout out to Archer because, like, I don't know what is the second most titles in this event, but 11th title and likely a 12th one now. That's just insane. I mean, surely he fires, you know, he's playing every single Sunday. And even if he's on a live series, you can be sure that even if you're bagging chips and he makes day two, he will never miss this tournament. He will register it, of course, and play it. So he's a fighter. If he busts early, you will be sure he re-enters the second, the third, and the fourth time. So it's
yep.
really going for it. But you can see it works out brilliantly. I mean, 11 titles and number one in caches in this tournament. It's impressive.
I will say a super crazy stat for today. There was 3 total re-entries in this tournament. 3 people, there's 3 re-entries out of 9 final tablists, which seems crazy low, right? That's like very surprising. Do you know, guess who out of, like, there's 3 total. Did you see this by any chance? Who re-entered?
Well, is it Arthur all the 3 times or 3 individual people re-entering?
It was Artur for 3 individual times. No one else re-entered. So that is
Oh,
kind of
wow. I
crazy
mean, I
statistic.
honestly, I didn't know that. It was complete random thrown up guess.
Yeah. So
Okay, that's cool.
yeah, so like keep that grain of salt for the total earnings. Like there's definitely, I'm sure he's re-entering more than most and playing a little more aggressively. And yeah, that is very, very, very much an interesting thing that I don't think I've ever seen that before. We're the only player at the final table be one player, but he's making
That's
it worth it today.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 people not re-entering. The one guy and 4 bullheads is gonna win it.
May win it, not over Kiat. Kiat's got something to say about it. The 3-9 making trips, and the 6-9 gonna get away here. So again, Kiat chipping up, just in striking distance to double and make it about even. And these are 2 real hands here. King 10, Queen Jack suited, good PLO hand. Although 3 diamonds used here. King 10, Queen Jack off. Does Kiat want to shoot this one up? Does do so. One of the better hands to limp call. Queen Jack suited, just a lot of playability. Got the gut shot now. Overs, 2 overs, gut shot.
The king of spades, pretty important hand here. Otherwise, we could also consider just check folding, but with the king of spades, um, check folding is not really on the table. We could even check call or something, or even consider the aggressive option. Kiat Lee went for the bet himself, and now it's getting spicy. Yes, you have king high, but also the ace is really good for you. You were the guy isolating, showing the aggression. You have more a6 in your range than your opponent, and he wins it with aggression. And I think he finds himself on a new peak. I don't think he had Lee at 5.5 million yet this tournament. Here he get rewarded. Pocket kings, very next hand. Raise. Okay. Again, technically, there are both options available, but we know already Kiat is here to play for the bigger pots. So we always will see starting with a bet. And it's a good strategy, honestly, because, yeah, sure, maybe theory says you should c-bet like 65% of time. But if you c-bet 100% of time, there's hardly any difference, even though it's maybe hard to understand, but that's just how it is in all the spots where it's like 70 or 80% and you do it 100, it's almost same AV. It doesn't really matter. Sure, it's not perfect theory and maybe your opponent could overly attack you, but it's just nuances. I think it's a perfectly fine style. He just goes for it. Every time there's the opportunity, he goes for it. And here, Kiat might chip up even more. Let's see what happens. Yes, that's gonna happen. I predict there's no way out. Even if Kiat checks, it's definitely gonna be the check call. Okay, bet. Fold. 6.5 million. I think we have a battle here.
Pig hands here. Heads up. We know the computer hand. I don't have to ask you that. I know you know what that is in heads up play, the nickname for that. And these are two qualified hands above that. You know what it is, right? I'd lay like 60-1 that you know what that means. The heads up.
I do think I've never heard about it. Is it a computer hand or what you said?
Called the computer hand, like in heads up play, what the dead middle hand is. You have to know that hand. You like what the distribution is. If you get dealt that hand, it's called the computer hands. It's the dead middle of the heads up to be dealt distribution wise.
Oh, I did never think about this one.
Really? Man,
yeah.
I think that's like, wait,
but
so what do you
there's
think?
Many hands that are somewhere in the middle. You can kind of name a connected type hand more in the area of 10-9, 10-8.
Let me put it this way: the dead middle hand
with a bad kicker.
Yeah, but the average hand, like if you get dealt this hand exactly, you're like right on the stone middle of like what you should expect for a hand in terms of play, like in this thing. You've never heard that?
No,
it happened.
No,
it happens to be this flop.
Mind.
This hap right here. Queen seven. Queen seven off is the exact middling hand. Wow, I love teaching Matthias stuff. I might have to clip that.
Always something to learn.
Wow. Wow.
And now we find a bet from Arthur. There's no way he checks down the 4 high. And call. Snap. Yeah, it's gonna be the call.
Man, closing on in. Let me cue. I'm getting distracted here. Queen 7 out. There we go. JB knows. Crazy coincidence as that came up. Energy's powerful. We're giving lessons, and there it is, just demonstrated for us. Queen 7 on the flop as we are gonna do the third giveaway. Let me get that out in the universe. Let's put it there. Third giveaway, $50 GG ticket giveaway. Keyword. Let's go with what's on my mind today. Just thinking about the WSOP a bit, and we're going to put WSOP GG. We're going to go with Vegas and then insert your username. Anyone going to Vegas in the chat? Anyone going to be out there? I will be there for part of it. I can't wait. Please say hello if you see me. You said you will be there. So you're going to actually go in and out or be there and just take breaks?
In Vegas, I'm just going in, play almost every single day, and 2 weeks later, I'm gone. It's not that I don't like Vegas, but it's very hard on the body because it's so hot outside and it's so cold inside. At least for my Austrian standards, I'm not used to having air condition everywhere all the time. So for me, inside the casinos, it's almost freezingly cold, and outside it's super, super hot. So being there like a full month, 1.5 months, it's pretty hard on the body. So I'm really excited this time, or looking forward that I can be out after 2 weeks already. I've been also in Vegas different times than the summer, and then it's no problem. It's just in like July, June, it's a bit hard for me.
Yep, I said it well. I did a lot of summers there, a lot of the time, and it's tough to be there for 6 weeks, 7 weeks in that climate, the desert, and then you get excited, you're happy, and then you start playing every day, and it can be a bit tiring. So I think that strategy of all in, and then getting out, or really focusing on a few events that you have in mind. That's a good way to do it. We got a lot of people going to Vegas in the chat again. Going to be a fun summer as we see King 3 betting. Best hand here does bet and pick it up. So still separating the gap a little bit. Martiresian just sort of, again, taking for granted how often he is actually here, closing it out. And I think he's won a few times when like the show was off for a week or during, there's been stuff, because I've seen him win numerous, but this is, it's actually crazy to think 12. And he is in another good spot here on the flop. King high with a king getting bet into.
I was thinking my brain was thinking too difficult once you ask me the question, what is the middle hand? Because there's two things. Like, do you take playability into account, or are you talking about raw equity? If I take a hand like 10-9, and I'm talking about opening it in the cutoff or in the button, then it's about top 35% of hands, because it also has a very nice playability in position in terms of straights, gut shots, everything. But if you're looking about the raw equity, then 10-9 is not so good. Queen deuce off, of course, has better equity. So it's like, that's what I had in my mind, but I was thinking way too complicated.
Hey, it's all good. I just, I think that's interesting. It's an interesting hand, and that's one of the first things I learned in poker, that nickname. A lot of nicknames back in the day for some of these hands, and different school of thought. You're like a decade younger though. You're 30, right? You're 30 years old exactly, and
32
so
by now, yeah.
32. You're getting all right, half a decade older, and different time. You started a little bit later than in poker. What was the first year you really got into poker? Where you were fully involved?
No, I didn't start so late, but I just joined the live scene a lot later because I played full time starting 19 years or so. And first I was online, more in the sit and go area. I think you were active on Stars as well, but there was a point where Supernova Elite, that's the reward program, how it was called, suddenly they stopped it. Unexpected towards the end of the year, suddenly in December they announced like, oh, guys, it's over.
I remember that.
And then I'm like, okay, had a while to think, and decided tournaments. It's the next thing for me.
Oh, so you were playing at like 14 or 13?
No. When I was 19. So that was like 13 years ago.
13 years ago. Got it. So yeah, I mean, saying you're a little late, like in the sense of you weren't there in 04, 03, 04, 05.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you've been playing since you were young. Got it. Yeah. Okay. 14 million, 6 million still live here. Got the last giveaway to do. Let's do it once we cross the 300 mark. Things are a little more tight now. It's not necessarily just going to be an all in, but still could happen. The blinds have gone up, and the opportunity for all ins are there. And we've seen some coolers today. See if this will end in a great call, a big coin flip, or if there will be a cooler. You never know, heads up. But this is at the moment too close to call, as Kiata is now at 7 million, less than 2-1 all of a sudden.
Indeed.
Yeah, wide open. Ace deuce, Jack 10, ace deuce in the lead, not anymore. Jack 10 smoking that flop, just absolutely crushing it. And we appreciate over 2,000 people watching, 2,100 on 1 out of 7, about 300. You hit the thumbs up. Let's try to double that, get to 600. If you've had a good time, if you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the commentary, if you're enjoying Matthias taking the time out of his day, it's late over there. What is it? 11 a.m., 11 p.m.?
Yeah, like 11:30 p.m. That's perfect for me. I like to work in the evening and in the night. Jeff, now I have a question to you. How good do you know Archer? Do you think it's a little bit a mind game for him now? You have your opponent 6-1 twice, and you see yourself like calling, folding, giving up river, check, folding, turn, and like suddenly you find yourself in a 2-1. So does it get to his head, you think, or what is your take on it?
I think Kiat is a frustrating opponent for him in general. I think that Kiat matches up well against him just based on a lot of the skill sets he has. With that being said, I don't think he's super frustrating. I mean, Archer started the day in what, 5th place, like right in the middle of the pack. He's heads up. He's ran very well shorthanded, and he still has a good lead. So I think he's totally fine. I would have liked to see Kiat maybe shove this when he got re-raised instead of call. Now, obviously, we see the hands, but also just I think A7 off plays not so well. And Archer's showing us some sort of airball aggression pre-flop. So this is one of the problems with the hand like this, where you're going to get a tricky hand to play. Not a lot of great flops for A7. With that said, he does now arrive to the river. He has the best hand, and see if he's able to get the showdown here. So yeah, I don't think he's that frustrated, but definitely noticing that the gap is closing.
I'm
And
surprised. You just said you thought maybe it would have been better to shove pre-flop. From what we've seen, Kiat Lee was always looking for the spots where he can make it big, where he can push the variance. But in that theme, this hand was counterintuitive. He did not take the spot where he could get chips into the middle and push the variance a little bit. But maybe his approach is now shifting because stacks get closer, you know? If he has 6-1, then
yeah,
his willingness to risk is high because he's like, I'm never gonna win it as it is now with 6-1.
I'm not saying, I just think that hand A7 off is hard to play, and I think that it's like not good enough to it's not good enough to trap, and it's also it's just tricky. So I guess again, he likes seeing flops. Yeah, likes to play flops. He actually got bailed out there, right? The board was pretty ugly for A7, hit the ace. As played though, he is closing the gap and he's playing very well. So what do you think about the A7, particularly in that spot? Would you like to see him? Do you think that's standard, or would you have liked to see him kick it up again from there?
Honestly, I can't remember the stack sizes. I was
Yeah,
just talking with you, talking about hands, but I think both options, if I like the way my memory has this hand approximately, it looked like it's close. It's a bit deep, so it's not like the all-in is the play always, but
yeah.
I think you can definitely consider it. So both fine. He made the call, as you said, the ace on the river bailed him out there.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting. Both players with a gut shot does have the spade flush draw as well. Kiat actually taking a very aggressive line and is going to get a pretty bad result that a jack high is going to push him off his queen high almost certainly, right? There's just a stone gut shot here. I can't imagine he can do anything there. So nice play from Artur in that spot. And Kiat was going for it. Just got a re-raised with the light hand. And whoa, this is possibly a all in. I mean, 400K, king queen off.
Maybe
or,
even non-all-in, just
yeah,
trying
three
to
bet for
increase
sure.
it. Okay. The hand will not end yet. Too much hope for both players at this point, or too much potential, not hope. It's just like equity-wise. Ace-8 wants to continue, doesn't matter the action, and king-queen cannot fold to the first aggressive move either.
Yeah. Also, again, sort of the polar opposite situation. Kiat looking for his first GGMillion title. Archer looking for his record 12th. So either way, going to be a historic day for the show and a very exciting finish in store as we see a 3-1 lead still for Archer.
Six high versus four high. The imposition advantage on the ace is gonna be the deciding factor here. Yes, there we go.
All right. Well, Kiat
Oh,
A7 tens. This
20,
does feel
six big,
different.
no more. 28 big blinds. Good.
Just calls tens. Check back. Queen 6-3. Has the 10 of diamonds. 4 on the turn. Kiat checking again as a gut shot now.
Plan here is to check call with the turned gut shot. You have the ace high, so that's why we don't have to bluff it. We have ace high. On top of that, we have the gut shot that boosts in the equity department. So check call is the play. Question is, does he make the hero call now with the ace high, assuming Arthur goes for one more round of value? He does, and yeah, that's tricky. I mean, the 7, you block the straight, you have no diamond. So if you want to call, it's a candidate. Does so. I would say if you have the ace-7 or like the ace-6, again, it's basically the same hand. It doesn't really matter. what hand do you beat with ace-6 where you would lose with ace-7? It doesn't really, yeah, so that's the thing here. It might look very aggressive, but any bluff catcher here is the same. If you had the 6, it's the same. In fact, the ace kicker is very good because you make it more likely that your opponent had actually a bluff in his hand with some hands that have no showdown value where he needs to bluff. So you better call an ace-7 over compared to having something like 10-6 because you want that Arthur has any hand with a 10, like 10-9, anything like that, where he now needs to bluff.
Well, Jack 5 off here goes and isolates on the limp, and 6-5 suited doesn't get the perfect flop. Jack 5 open-ended here, and Kiat is now getting checked to a 6 high, backdoor spades. Did get raised pre-flop, maybe thinking that he wants to attack, but no, he's just sort of giving up here as both players really not having anything. Open-ended though for Arthur, and he will go bet big here.
Yeah, the
Best
last
hand.
hands from Kiat's perspective are really a disaster. With this ace-7 especially, the blinds are pretty high, so it goes quick. Back to the 6-1, even close to 7-1, where we have already been multiple times now.
Yeah, and with that said, as I was saying about ripping the ace-7, just after we saw it would have been 10s to ace-7, right? He would have been out in that spot. So again, he's playing post flop. He's kind of chipped up and now back to a short stack as we see 10 deuce and 5 deuce here. Has gut shot versus a 10. And Arthur confidently betting that 10 gets a fold. Vegas just around the corner, man. Time flies, huh? Just like those. I'll tell you what blends together. Talk about not knowing what the last flop or board was, but those Vegas trips, man, they come together quick, right? The summers, the times, the events, a lot of similar events, and I find myself looking back, I'm like, man, I can't remember what year, what happened there. It's like summer camp as we see Arthur considering the King 5 offsuit here versus Ace 5. Gonna fold, was dominated.
He escaped. He escaped with pocket 3s versus pocket 4s. Now he escaped with the King 5 versus the Ace 5. Escaping the coolers, where you're not in good shape.
5 more away till we pick that last giveaway, and then the tweet, obviously, I will do on my Twitter. Do that as soon as the show ends and select who wins for the 50 cash. And we have had ourselves quite a day. Still heads up, continuing. Been a battle here. 2 pair for Kiat, looking to hopefully have Arthur. I would say there's again, depending on what Arthur had, but there was a few times where he had such a nutted hand, the nut straight with the flush draw. He had King 7, the boat, and he kind of attacked, right? Whereas like I get it, but maybe could have been different. Could have left a little more rope for Arthur in spots where he was so strong, but it's always results oriented.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
have nothing.
Results oriented, that's really the way it is. But if you change the setups a little bit and give Arthur his pocket 10s in one of the spots where Kiat has those hands, suddenly has the bigger double up. So yeah, it kind of works both ways. But I get where you're coming from. If you always play your strong hands directly, then you leave a little bit little room for your opponent to make moves. So I think you would need to find a good mix. If you always fast play your hands, it's also not ideal. So having a good balance here is the key. And it's also key in terms of being unpredictable.
Yeah, well said. All right, we are crossing in on that 300 line. I'm going to announce the $50 GG ticket, as we said, man. Marcelo Aziz, who was on the show as a guest, he took down second place in the Bahamas, 25K for 4.6 million off a free roll. So $50 can go a long way. Were you one of those guys, Matthias? Did you start with a free roll or from the micros, or how did you actually start ever first playing online poker?
I started playing online poker by depositing with like PaySafe card, like $10, $20, you know, busted it multiple times, but not like big amounts. Tested many different formats, always being overconfident. I win today, lose everything tomorrow. But eventually I found a love with the sit and goes. It was a fast-paced format. And then from there, it was more structural. It was more steady. It was a little bit before the solver time, so the way I did it is I always paid super, super careful attention on the players who had the best success on my current limit, or also observing players from the higher limit and just like trying to copy paste a little bit at what they did. And eventually I figured like what is good, what is not so good. I developed my own thing, and yeah, 2 years later I was the #1 player in the hyper sit-and goes, and I enjoyed that status for like 2 or 3 years. Till I already said the sad end to the story. Suddenly the sit-and-goes were dead.
Yep. Yeah, that's and what you're playing, heads up or 6-max, 9-max?
No, I was, yeah, I should clarify that. Thanks for asking. I'm talking about 6-max sit-and-goes. Like, indeed, yeah. I think John Jeffy was very, very good in the heads-up sit-and-goes. It's also a player who is now regularly playing Triton. But yeah, I'm coming from the 6-max sit-and-goes. That's why I really love all the final tables where stacks are short. I'm absolutely loving it. If we have 6 big blinds, 9 big blinds, 12 big blinds, 14 big blinds, that's exactly my thing. So as short as possible is great.
Interesting. And we see a shove here, threes, no customer there, 10-6. We're at 300. I'm about to, congratulations to somebody for another $50 ticket. Like I said, come from very small deposits. We wish everyone luck. I hope your $50 ticket sends you into a nice run here as King 3 going to jam on the limp. Kiat Lee would be good timing to wake up with something powerful, but as it stands, 18 to just under 3 million. Again, we're back to that distribution, and the winner for the last $50 GG ticket for today is Barbaros River Star 187 on GG. Good luck to you, my friend. $50 ticket. And that is our third winner. That's Barbaros. Don't know if he's in the
You
chat.
timed it perfectly because in one hand the blinds going up, and now with just about 9 or 10 big blinds, not sure what the blind goes up to. Now it really goes quick every hand. That's what we expect here.
And we're going to make that winner here. Just feel like it's the blinds are too big. Yeah, 250K. Just literally now we're in the shove mode. Gonna pick that third winner. And again, I'll leave the tweet. We'll pick that at the end of the show. Still available. Jeff Gross Poker Twitter. Good luck. Thank you everyone today. Been fun, and we still have more heads up to play, but at some point the blinds are just big. I had 20 hands at 250K, sub 10 blinds now. It's like, yeah, he's gonna have to either get moving or get it going here. Kiat is no longer anywhere to go but 9 blinds here, and he has got himself a bit of a tough spot with the pair short. Stack the pot ratio SPR of 1, and that card Archer didn't need, but he does even improve now.
It might be a great card for Kiat, because if he calls the bot bet on the turn, who knows? Who knows if there could be runouts where he just makes the hero call. But with the 8, of course, the game was over. All in. Is it the final
here we go.
hand?
The computer hand. We talked about a king deuce, queen 7 to the turn. Needs a queen or a 7, or will continue, or Archer will have his 12th title if he can bink it. River is not. We will continue.
Not good.
Kiat will keep on going. It is a absolute never over, man. Never over till it's over. And we are Danny Hudson. No, that was Twitter still alive. Still have a Twitter alive still for the cash one.
In the check 10 suited hand, I was very surprised that Arthur made the check back free flop. I think it was Kiat who limped in, and Arthur just checked his check 10 suited, which is a pretty strong hand. And it's, yeah, but he approached it passive. He won the hand. This one goes in. All in, snap call. Let's see.
King, queen, a7. Is it the time for the 12th title? Can it hold? King or queen needed from Kiat. Turn, no. River is slow peel. Paint, maybe. No. Archer will do it, man. Matthias, you came and witnessed history. The 12th title, absurd. It is absolutely absurd. Archer put on.
How does he do it?
How does he? This guy can really do it. I mean, he is. Some guys can do it. He can do it, and that is a win. And a Kiat second gonna have to wait for his first title. We saw some impressive play. We saw Dennis, our 9th place stack, come in, put up a fight. Was chip leader at one point. finished third. Impressed with his play. What stands out for you? As you can see, the 9.46 to 1. I'm going to cash in on that and a dinner with you, my friend, for our tour there. Kia Lee, though, put up a fight. And what stands out with that breakout there of the payouts, and what was interesting to you at this final table?
What stands out is, I think, the learning we have here. I mean, it can go really quick. We have seen second stack, goodbye, out. Suddenly, short stack, Dennis started today in 9th place. Good stack ending up 3rd. So I think it's a good lesson that reminds us nothing is secured. Even if we start big, we can enter early. But even if we have low hopes, we start 9th, we can end up 3rd. That's just the beauty of this game, right? Many big coolers, no one specific hand. We just had many big hands. Also some really brutal one. The one I remember was the flop nut flush against the backdoor full house from Arthur. That was a really, really brutal one from Beruzzi, especially after he got the cooler in the hand. Before that also, the Jack 10 river trips against Arthur. But so stay positive is very tricky. After those roller coasters, it's easy to be frustrated. But then on the next day, we are very motivated to try our luck again.
Well said. Really, really nice breakdown from today. And again, a treat to have you. Appreciate your time so much. The co-founder of Poker Code, Matthias Eibinger, who is the #1 on the Austria all-time money list by double. Pretty crazy. Austria, the country we give maybe the most respect, credit to. Here, of course, a bit of a hotbed and a melting pot where players come from Germany and other areas of the region, favorable for gaming. So again, it's some of those flags you see on GG aren't all Austrian born, but the man who holds that top spot demands respect at the tables. We wish you luck in Montenegro and Vegas and continued success. Love to have you on my podcast in the future, and would definitely invite you anytime to be a guest here on the show. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon in Las Vegas, if not Montenegro. Appreciate it so much, Matthias. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me again. It was a lot of fun anytime, and let's get back to the dinner at some point.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys next week. The man, the myth, Brian Paris joins us. B. Paris will come back on the show as a repeat guest, one of the all-time greats in online poker and streamer as well. So Matthias, thank you so much. Everyone have a great night. I will see you guys next week, same time, same place. GG Millions, the Champions League of Poker. That will be 2:15 Eastern for the pregame show in 1 week from today. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.